is your confidence on the confidence meter with South Carolina and their matchup this weekend, and with Clemson and their matchup this weekend? That's what we're going to get to in just a few minutes. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this Tolo Thursday. Tolo Takeover happening 2 hours from now. Want to hear from you, Tolos. Go ahead and start thinking about what you're going to use, what you're going to call in about. But Diesel, I'd be remiss if I didn't start the show today by paying tribute to what happened 24 years ago, and those who bravely served in the line of duty 24 years ago. Today was a dark, dark day in our country, a dark, dark day in the world. And sadly, one day it will be long gone in the history books for the children to read about, and those who actually witnessed it will be long gone. But couldn't start the show today without just paying tribute to those, like I said, who did lose family, who did lose their lives in 9/11 24 years ago today. I'll be honest with you, man. I watched not a documentary. I guess it was a documentary this morning on the news about it. I didn't even know what was coming on. And even 24 years later, Diesel, that thing still hits home like it did when it happened.
Yeah, I was a senior in high school when it happened.
God, you're old.
I had this thought, man, and God bless every single one of you who, after that happened or before it happened or after it happened, doesn't matter, joined the military and went off to protect our country. But I thought, man, this is that event that kickstarts something global, and I'm going to be swept up in it. I'm going to be drafted into the military, and I was terrified, man. And it was a really surreal time for like 2 weeks straight. Well, really, especially for the first 48, 72 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Every single thing you would turn on TV was talking about this. And then that continued on for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it was all consuming at the time. And I remember how eerie that felt. But that day, 2,977 people lost their lives. I did the math, Cole, 24 years times that many people. That's 71,448 years of life that we've lost from that day until this day, plus all the countless kids and grandkids that may have come from those 2,977 lives. So, it was a formative event in my life. And that's one of the reasons why I don't let things go like the Saudi funding of Live Golf. Some of you people can forgive that. I'm not able to do that.
Solos, we will get to sports, I promise, but I just can't, in my fiber, I can't start the show without, paying tribute to those who did lose their lives and those who did fight in the action that day and for days and months and years after, as Diesel brought up with the military. So you mentioned you were a senior in high school. I was much younger. I was actually sick from school that day, and no, I didn't have a test. I promise I was really sick. I mean it this time. Anytime you're sick from school, that's what people assume is you had a big test that day, right? But I was young. I remember just watching on TV, not knowing. I was almost at the age where it was too young to really know exactly what was happening. We knew it was bad, and Tolo's out there would love to hear from you as well. Again, it's a sports show. We're going to get to sports, I promise, but I'm too patriotic to not mention it. I'm too patriotic to not talk about it. I love this country too much not to act like it's a huge deal. And Diesel and I are going to talk sports today for 4 hours. I promise. There's going to be plenty of sports talk today. But I just couldn't start the show without bringing it up because, as you mentioned, it was something that had a lasting impact, and to this day still has a lasting impact. The way that you get on an airplane is different today because of that. And to couple that in, Diesel, with what happened yesterday, my biggest thing is, man, I went to bed last night just so upset by yesterday's actions. And then this morning woke up and watched that documentary on 9/11 and was just, man, tears come to your eyes when you see what happened truly 24 years ago and the footage. People talk about conspiracies and all that different stuff, but the footage, man, it just brings out the realness of it. And I will be honest with you. I'll be transparent. Last night I was, just like, man, what are we doing in this world, right? What are we doing? And because of what happened yesterday with Charlie Kirk, and then this morning I'm watching 9/11, and I'm just kind of down in the dumps, man. But I'll tell you this, by lunchtime today, and here's where I am now, and this is just my opinion. What happened yesterday was tragic. what happened 24 years ago was tragic. But I still today, as of 3:05 today, I still have confidence. I still have hope that this country can be the best country on the earth, because I know that we're the best country on planet Earth, and I still have confidence. I still have joy, and I still have hope that we as Americans can come together and learn from things like this, because if we don't, we can see in other countries, Diesel, what it will be like. We've had the opportunity to be down about it. Those who have been impacted, the families by yesterday's events and 9/11's events, will be impacted for a long, long time, right? But for those of us that talk about things like this, I still believe there's an old country song that talks about it. I still believe, Diesel, most people are good. I believe that. You and I were at English yesterday, and we saw all these different people coming in. I choose to believe that most people in this country are good people, and the small percentage of people that are out there that carry out heinous acts like we saw yesterday and like we saw on 9/11, I think it's a small percentage that need help. And I'm not going to allow that small percentage to change the way I think about the country.
Dewey on the stream says yesterday's event was a travesty. We really need to take the temperature down in this country and start respecting each other's opinions and ideologies. He says, Dewey, well said. That was articulate, well thought out.
Surprise.
And I got no objections to what you had to say. And I think it's well said by you, Cole. I'm just heartbroken for his wife, for his kids that are going to grow up without a father. How's that going to change her forever? How is that going to change their kids forever? I understand he had a fairly newborn and another kid that was probably less than 4 or 5 years old. That's just awful. That's just awful to have to deal with something like that. Look, you don't have to agree with his opinions. You don't have to watch his content. You don't have to consume it. You don't have to let it become all consuming. And I think that's a big part of it. We've let political discourse become all consuming to us. There's a lot of people who are just locked into 24 hours a day political opinion conversation, and it tends to ramp up people's temperature in that sense. And look, you don't have to agree with somebody to allow them to exist as a human being.
That's right.
And just because somebody disagrees with you, or just because you disagree with them, doesn't mean they're an evil individual. And that's kind of where the news media has taken us. People on the left say people on the right are evil. People on the right say people on the left are evil, and they're irredeemable and unsavable. And that's not the truth. They just think differently than you do.
Of it. That's a big, big part of it, Diesel. What you just talked about with these people saying this and these people saying that, it happens on both sides of the political sphere. What I hate about what you just said is that the fact that there are people in this world who hear things like that. They hear political leaders and past presidents say things like, we've got to put this guy in a bullseye. This guy's a Nazi. They hear people say things like that and then act on it. That's what I hate most about what you just said, because you're 100% correct. The fact that we have media, and the media are going to be media. We know that. We know how media members at that level act. But the fact that we have national political leaders in our country, the thing that I think pains me the most is that our leaders use these words like there are no repercussions with these words. And then when something like yesterday happens, people are surprised by it. Well, we've got to be better on what we say. And I think you said that right. I'm with you. Ultimately, I am so heartbroken from what happened yesterday and what happened 24 years ago and what happens with every single act of violence, what happened in Charlotte, what happened, every school shooting. I hate it all. But I will tell you this. What we see on social media after these things happen that JB brought up with the disgusting celebrations and the disgusting low-life comments, we're never going to get anywhere as a country until we realize that we've all got to be unified. And Diesel, after September 11th, 2001, on September the 12th, we weren't Democrats, we weren't Republicans, there weren't red states, there weren't blue states. We were Americans, we were neighbors. Neighbors helped neighbors. Flags flew on every porch. People stayed together, they prayed together, they grieved together. And for a moment in time, Diesel, we were one after that happened. And we've lost that. We've lost that. And there's so many factors that go into it. I just ultimately believe that the small percentage of evil people in this world have allowed the large percentage of us to become divided, and ultimately that's what their goal is, and we can't let that happen.
And look, and it's getting harder and harder to discern what's truth, what's fiction on social media. I saw all kinds of posts from both sides of this political spectrum yesterday just saying awful things about people on the other side. You don't know if those things are even real or not, right? Because we're living in a world where so much content is AI generated, and it's so easy to fake people's comments, and it's so easy to take a little piece of it and blow it out of proportion. I mean, you know, we still don't we don't even have a suspect in the Charlie Kirk shooting yesterday. They don't know who did it. And I've seen so many people just throwing tons of people under the bus whole hog for no reason, but you don't know at this point. I mean, we saw pretty quickly there was an elderly 65-ish-year-old guy that was believed to be a suspect, and then they released him, said no, he doesn't have anything to do with it. Now they're looking at a person of interest that maybe looks to be a college age kid, but they don't know, right? They don't know who did this. So anybody who's been posting all over social media saying that this group or that group is at fault and they're evil because of what happened, you don't know. They have no idea who did this. So anything you say doesn't hold any water, and you're just acting on, presuppositions.
And look, I get that people out there are frustrated. I definitely was and definitely am. But I think the biggest thing is, I'll reiterate, we can't as Americans, if you're out there listening today, again, not my opinion, we can't as Americans allow our frustration to create more divide. We just can't. Because the moment we do that, Diesel, the moment they win. And the moment they win is the moment it'll continue to happen. And the moment you can't have free speech and have debate, you saw what happens yesterday when you can't have those things. And the fact that, I said this yesterday, the fact that we have so much hate for one side or one party that some kind of act of violence like what we saw yesterday would have to be carried out, it just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because guess what? We all disagree on things. Newsflash, the president that I voted for, Diesel, the party that I voted for this past election, here's a newsflash for you. There are friends of mine who voted for the same party that I still have disagreements with on things they believe in within the same party. They're still friends. It's not something, and somebody brought it up with the political climate. That's the root of the issue. The political climate, whether it's the media that has caused this to just ramp up or whatever you attribute it to, Diesel, the political climate is way too hot in this country. And I'll tell you this, my opinion, media and social media has absolutely torn us apart as a country.
You know what's interesting is I've seen some documentaries and some conversations from clinical psychologists. These are videos that I've seen posted on YouTube, clinical psychologists saying that there is a sort of small but growing grassroots movement among kids who are young, 21 and younger, to get off and stay off of social media because they're realizing that it makes you miserable. Social media makes a lot of people miserable. It's a great way to stay in touch with your friends and see the pictures that your buddy just put on social media and the pictures from your Christmas parties and all that kind of stuff. But most people are using it to watch things that make them feel bad about themselves, to hate somebody who lives across the street from them for no other reason other than they believe something different than what you believe. So there's a push. A lot of people are getting off of social media. And think about it. This whole thing is like less than 20 years old. Facebook is brand new still, basically.
Scheme of things.
We're still figuring out how to deal with it and how to use it responsibly. Now, we've used it pretty dang irresponsibly up to this point, and I'm glad that some people are learning to take a discerning eye, stay away from it as much as they possibly can, and sort of re-enter community, real people standing right across from you.
No, I'm with you. And the reality of it is, Shane brought it up on the YouTube stream. What makes this country so great, Diesel, by the way, this is a news flash to you. There are a lot of people in this country. That's breaking news. If it is, maybe I'm breaking.
Yeah, I can tell by all the new housing developments that are going up.
So my point being, of course, with as many people that lives in this country, of course, there are gonna be people with differing opinions. But guess what? what's always made this country so great is that you can have beliefs and opinions and not get shot in the neck for those opinions. These are type of things that you see in third world countries. And the fact that what we had happen yesterday on our soil, on our turf, the fact that that even happened is a disgrace. It's a slap in the face to each one of us. It's a slap in the face to our neighbors. And I'll go back to what I said a minute ago. I'm passionate about the direction this country's going because I see the small percentage winning, and I hate seeing the small percentage winning. We've got to get to the point where we understand that most people, like I said, are good people. Your neighbors, your friends, the people you work with, most people are, there are a very, very, very small percentage of people out there who commit heinous acts like this. And unfortunately, with the attention they get to the news and the media, it blows up and it becomes what we talk about. But at the end of the day, we can't allow those people to win. We can't allow them to win. We've got to stay unified. And man, from what happened 24 years ago, again, I was young. I still remember it. But to what happened yesterday, you have these moments, where you'll never forget where you were when it happened, right? Mm-hmm. And I just think ultimately, Diesel, we shouldn't have to have that tragedy to bring us together. We have to be better. We have to do better. I think we just need to understand that loving your neighbor isn't an option. It's not optional. It's responsibility. Whether they vote like you or not, whether they look like you or not, whether they believe what you believe or the exact opposite when it comes to morals or faith or anything. We've got to stop with the labels. We've got to stop with all the, the name calling this, the name calling that, and understand that the only way we're ever going to do this is through love and being unified.
Yeah. And we have to start putting these things into practice. You can read Love Thy Neighbor in a book, but you have to put it into practice. And it's harder to put it into practice when it's somebody who doesn't look like you, who doesn't think like you, who doesn't feel like you, who doesn't live like you. But you can't just love thy neighbor when it's somebody you already agree with across the board. You can't just think it. You can't just feel it. You have to say it out loud. You have to live it every single day. And that's challenging for a lot of people. We get up in our fields and we fire back off at something somebody put on social media we don't like, but you have to learn to live it. And that's a challenge. That's a challenge that everybody has to take on for themselves.
It really is. So, again, we're going to get to sports. We really are. We're going to get to sports. We have a huge show coming up. But, again, it goes back to this for me. I love this country way too much just to talk 4 hours today and pretend like it didn't happen. I love the people that make this country up too much to not talk about it. And I love the direction this country could go too much to not talk about it. And ultimately, I'm going to choose today to still have that same faith and hope that this country can be a better place because most people are good. And I believe that. And I just ultimately, at the end of the day, think that we've got to do a better job of, like you said, Diesel, living it out and making sure that our neighbors know that we love them. And the reality is there's a lot of people that go through all kind of bad things in their head, all kind of mental issues, all kind of battles and wars within their own heart and head. And we've got to be that loving neighbor to them too, even if they don't practice what we practice or look like what we look like. We've got to be able to wrap our arms around them regardless. That's just my thoughts, my 2 cents there. Hopefully we'll get better one day. That's all I can say.
Well, hopefully we can make the transition over to sports a little bit easier than Casey Kasem did in that famous clip where he lost it on somebody. Let's pivot to sports. And let's talk South Carolina Gamecocks taking on the Vanderbilt Commodores with Jordan Kay of the State newspaper next. And now sports. Jordan Kay of the State newspaper joining us here to talk South Carolina Gamecocks in the States segment. Jordan, welcome into the show. Good having you on again. I want to know right out of the gate, has there been any response from Emily Beamer after Shane absolutely bodied her for her Amazon shopping addiction in Tuesday's press conference?
I don't think so. I wouldn't be shocked if there was something said at home, but no.
That's good stuff.
I don't know if she's on Twitter as much, so that's where I've seen it. But no, I saw some people, thinking that was pretty relatable.
No doubt about it. So it stemmed, Jordan, from the boat show, Beamer wanting the boat. Do you think if Beamer can get an SEC win over Vandy that maybe he can have enough money to scrounge up the coins from the cushions, I guess, to buy a boat?
I don't know. I think it's probably all in the stock market. Like, depends what his investments are doing. How's the S&P doing today? I think that's
good point.
That's the determining thing. I just don't know if he's got it.
I mean, I feel for Shane. I don't know, Jordan, if you're a married man. I know Cole is not, but my wife says absolutely no motorcycles. You can't have one. But man, if I was making $6.5 million a year, I think I could afford to rent a garage and stash one in there if I really wanted one.
Maybe she listens to Dave Ramsey, if it has yield or floats, it just appreciates in value. It's a bad investment.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Jordan, what was your reaction to the latest injury report that came out for the Gamecocks?
I thought it was pretty favorable. I think after Saturday night against SC State, when Shane was saying, hey, it does not look good health-wise, and then you look at the injury report, only 5 guys on it, and only 2 that were listed as doubtful in Judge Collier, who's been out since basically the first quarter of the season, and Brady Hunt, this tight end. Those are 2 starters, but all things considered, it's about as fortunate as South Carolina could have been, I think.
Jordan, I think we're all kind of waiting for Lenora Sellers to become a national story this season. It started to happen towards the end of last season, but it hasn't really, fired out of the gate through the first 2 weeks of this season. On the other side of the football, though, Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt, that is a story that has shot out of the cannon again to start this season. Do you think beating the story or the aura of Diego Pavia adds any extra weight to this game?
I don't know. I don't know about that. I do think there is a lot more juice around this game than there maybe ever has for a South Carolina Vanderbilt game, which is cool. I think it's fun when you have guys like Pavia out there kind of just talking crap, and you see the videos where like Theo Vaughn or whatever was at their practice, and Pavia's like, you can break it down with this, or F South Carolina. It's fun. Like, it's awesome. And so I think South Carolina players, if they needed any motivation or bulletin board material, I mean, Vanderbilt's definitely giving it to them. And if you're Vanderbilt, you're thinking, hey, if we're this confident, I'm excited for Saturday night. It kind of makes it more entertaining.
But you know what, Jordan, what's interesting about that, man, is, it was the Gamecocks last year who kind of shut down that little party, that Vanderbilt had. And after that, you really didn't hear much about Vanderbilt. Do we look at this game as maybe an entrance to the hallway, or a doorway rather, for the Commodores, as to potentially breaking on the scene in terms of actually being taken serious year after year?
This would certainly do it for them. I mean, it wouldn't even be close to beating number 1 Alabama.
Right.
But getting another, top 11, top 10, if you're going by the coaches poll, win. I mean, if Vanderbilt wants to, be about it, it's got to win these type of games. And I think that's kind of the thinking around there is, hey, you can keep talking and talking, and if you beat Alabama and Auburn, no one's going to clap back at you, but you got to do it another year. And
Sure.
This would certainly be one of those games of, hey, last year was not a fluke, even though it was a 7-6 season.
Jordan, you wrote a story about the 2 most recent field stormings there at South Carolina after the 21-game losing streak ended and after knocking off number 9 Georgia. Do you think there's any game on this schedule at all, sort of crystal ball projecting where these teams might be at the time, that warrants a field storm?
I don't think so, because I think part of the field storming has to be South Carolina it being a massive upset. And I just don't see any of these games that would be a massive upset. It would take South Carolina like kind of dropping out, and then a team like Alabama or Clemson, somehow climbing all the way back up in the rankings. But no, I mean, South Carolina, if it continues on this path and keeps winning games, I mean, there's a chance they're favored in a lot of these big home games. A good chance they could be favored against Alabama in a month or against Clemson come the end of November. So, no, I think that's kind of a good place for South Carolina to be, where winning big games is not, doesn't need a field storming anymore.
That's a good point. Jordan, when you look at that injury report that I brought up a few minutes ago, you mentioned Judge Collier. I thought maybe it was trending in the right direction for him last week. Is it seeming like that he might not be a go Saturday night? And if not, how big of a blow is that in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, he was listed as doubtful, and we saw him on Saturday night kind of still walking around with crutches. I don't remember if he had a brace on his knee for, during the Virginia Tech game. I don't know if he still had it on. But it is a big blow, because all of a sudden it moves Brandon Cisse. Yeah. It kind of puts him in there, which is fine. It's not, I mean, it is a blow, but they do have depth at that corner position so long as everyone else is healthy. And I think the big problem is when you're looking at the guys who are probable and you have Brandon Cisse and Bakari Swain.
Yeah.
Well, those are two guys who play corner. So if you have Judge Collier and then you have your two other corners out, now you're down to basically your fourth and fifth corners. So that's a problem. But if Judge is the only one out, I think they do have the depth to be able to overcome that with Cisse and Swain.
Talking to Jordan Kay of the State newspaper, who we talk to every other Thursday on the show. So far through the season, South Carolina's forced 2 fumbles and an interception against South Carolina State and a couple of special team scores, 2 picks and a special team score against Virginia Tech. Is that the type of performance that this team is going to need, or some semblance thereof, to be in most of the SEC games this season, especially towards the back half where it gets really tough? And obviously you can't count on those types of performances, but do you think they need them to be in games?
I don't think they need it to be in games, but there's certainly going to be times where they need a big time turnover or a big time special teams play late in some of these SEC games to pull it out. When you start thinking back to last year, I know there was the Nick Eamon-Warrior interception, but South Carolina turned the ball over late against LSU. That was in part why they lost that game. South Carolina turned the ball over in the fourth quarter against Alabama. That's partly why it lost that game. Clemson turns the ball over late against South Carolina. That's why it lost that game. I mean, a lot of these SEC and Clemson South Carolina games, these teams are so evenly matched. It just comes down to 1 or 2 of these little plays. And if South Carolina, I don't think it wants to rely on getting a punch return touchdown every week, but it's got to rely on some big play somewhere, whether that's a Dylan Stewart forced fumble, whether that's a block kick, whether it is another Bakari Swain punt return touchdown. I mean, you look at these SEC games, it comes down to who makes the fewest mistakes in the fourth quarter. And sometimes that's about capitalizing on things.
We're talking to Jordan Kay of the State newspaper. You hear him and Chapel Fowler every Thursday at this time on the show. Jordan, I don't know if you make that bass boat type of money or not, but when it comes to being the man that has to figure this thing out, the run game has not been great. You can blame the offensive line. You can blame the run game, blame the running backs, right? Somebody's got to be at blame. You can blame the coaches. But in your mind, if you did make that bass boat money and it was your job to fix it, what are you doing Saturday somehow, some way to get this run game off the ground?
I don't think there's like a magic button. There's no like potion you're just going to throw on it and be like, run game's fixed. We did it, guys. Like it's about like these 5 offensive linemen and then the entire 11 guys on offense, like working as one and being cohesive. And we just have not seen that through 2 games, which isn't the biggest deal in the world. I mean, like there are Georgia fans freaking out about its run game. I mean, you look across the country, it's like every a lot of teams are
Clemson.
really like pissed off about how, you know, their teams are doing offensively. And sometimes that's kind of the struggle of the first couple of games is, hey, you need time for everyone to get adjusted. And it's really frustrating if you're a fan of like, come on, we brought back Lenore Sellers. You know, we have two running backs who are basically 25 years old. We brought back, you know, our two tackles, and we have veteran guys on the offensive line. Like, why is this so hard to gel? And I think that's a valid question of like, shouldn't this have been figured out during fall camp? But, you know, sometimes things are different when you get into a real game. And it seems like they understand that after two games, they have not been gelling as, you know, a complete unit. And I think that's something they've worked on a ton in practice, and we'll see if it actually kind of breeds better results in that run game.
So, Jordan, to that point, you know, I'm looking at the ESPN page for this game, and the matchup predictor is giving South Carolina a 65% chance to win this game. But my question, honestly, is why? Vanderbilt's been far more impressive offensively. They've got a solid enough defense, giving up just 20 points to Virginia Tech. I mean, I know it's a night game. I know it's a home game for South Carolina, but if you could try to figure out what that computer is seeing, why do you think it is that South Carolina is getting so much love in this game when they haven't looked that impressive so far?
No, that's a fair point. I mean, for all the talk about the AP poll voting, you could make quite the argument that Vanderbilt deserves to be ranked ahead of South Carolina just going by the results of this year. And you look at that, you know, what both teams did to Virginia Tech. But if I had to guess, I mean, I think they are thinking, hey, Lenore Sellers is better than Diego Pavia, despite, you know, which one talks more. And that South Carolina defense, sure, it might be a little banged up, but man, it was feisty against Vanderbilt last year, allowing the fewest points Vandy scored all season, just 7. It's been really, really good this season. And then you've got that Williams-Bryce night crowd too behind it. And so if I'm that thinking from the ESPN computer thing, it might be thinking, hey, South Carolina really might not have to score that many points to get a win on Saturday.
What do you think the challenges presented by Diego Pavia, just looking at his game, Jordan, present the most trouble?
Just the way he runs the option. I think he's really good at making defenses have to really be disciplined with their eyes. There are times when, you know, he's such a threat running the ball, and they kind of do run the option where, you know, you don't know if he's taking it or giving it to his running backs. And if there are teams that are undisciplined on defense, you know, he can make you pay. And I also think he has one of the best tight ends in the country to throw to in Eli Sowers, who can beat you really bad down the seam if you're, you know, linebackers and safeties, you know, aren't on top of him. So I think the option's one of the big things. And then, you know, his ability to run the ball too can be scary. And then he just has that weird, like, you know, just like almost not Manziel type, but, you know, some of those plays where you're just like, what is he doing? And he gets kind of, I think that can be deflating for a defense when you see this, you know, 5'10" scrappy guy like complete some, you know, BS pass. And it's just like, I can't imagine being a defensive lineman just like probably hanging your head like, come on, really?
Jordan, 6 different Commodores have sacks on the season, 1 each by a linebacker, a safety, an edge, and 3 by linemen. So that's telling me that they're going to come after Lenore Sellers from a lot of different angles. What's been the approach and what you've heard from offensive line coach Lonnie Teasley this week leading up to this game to try to limit some of those quarterback pressures?
I don't think there's like a massive new approach other than, hey, we've got to be more cohesive as a group, and we've got to make sure that everyone on the line understands our play call. I mean, they kind of said there was one time where the communication was off and the play call was wrong. And then, you know, Case and Henry was kind of describing it as like, hey, no, it's kind of, we do just need to make sure every play that we're on top of this stuff. And if you're going by numbers, I mean, Vanderbilt's probably going to have a sack or 2 on the Norris Sellers, and that's fine. You can win a football game giving up a couple sacks, but it's just really about limiting that. Can you recover from that? Can it not be on a 3rd down? Can it not turn into 6 sacks or 8 sacks? As long as it's 1 or 2, and Lenoris is basically, healthy and upright for most of the game. The offensive line does not have to play perfect. It just has to play decent.
Jordan, before we let you go, man, how do you see this thing playing out Saturday?
I think I give a slight edge to South Carolina, maybe 27-24, 24-20, something like that. I don't think it's going to be a super high-scoring game, but I think the Gamecocks have the best two players on the field, and Dylan Stewart and Lenora Sellers, and it's got that night crowd at Willie B. So I think that's going to be enough to get it done, but I don't think this is going to be a blowout.
I like it, Jordan. You're the best, man. We appreciate you as always.
Thanks, fellas. Have a good one.
Thanks,
too.
Jordan.
Jordan K., State Newspaper, the State segment right here every Thursday at this time. I think I'm looking for a coin. There were some coins back here. No kidding. There were some coins back here.
They're gone now?
Somebody stole my coins. I was going to say I'll flip the coin and see who wins. I mean, that's where I am. I really don't know. I think Vandy's got a good shot. I think the Gamecocks have a good shot. I think it's a coin flip. 5.5. What is it? Still 5.5 point spread. I mean, Vandy's offense concerns me a little bit. If they get going like they did last week in the second half, I don't know. We'll see. I could be wrong.
We'll see if that crowd, if that cockpit can keep these South Carolina Gamecocks in it and keep the noise high and distract Diego Pavia.
Should be a lot of fun. Tolo's Our Daily Wires next. Well, every day at this time, most of the time at this time, sometimes it's another time, but
you getting $1 every time you say time?
At some time, we're going to do a segment called Daily Wires. Right now time. It's where we take a look at what's happening around the sports world. The Cubs defeated the Atlanta Braves yesterday by a score of 3-2. Atlanta's off today. Good news. By the way, only Diesel, I believe, my math is correct, only 3 more weeks of this misery until the season's over. I think it's 3 weeks. No more misery. No more misery. The Hub City Spartanburgers, though, not misery. They're winning, and they're back in action tonight. Playoffs, 7:35 at Bowling Green. Division Series game numero dos. Let's go, Burgers. As the San Francisco 49ers preparation Wednesday for their Week 2 meeting with the Saints began, they did so with the expectation that quarterback Brock Purdy won't be available to play. He has a toe injury, a shoulder injury, and I think he has a hangnail. It all happened in the second quarter of the game against the Seahawks. Kyle Shanahan indicated that the toe is a bigger concern and that it's unlikely he will play against the Saints, Diesel, which means Spencer Rattler, you better win this one, right?
Yeah.
You got to win this one.
It also means the 49ers season so far is pretty toe up.
Ha! Toe up.
Well,
and I like it. Mac Jones is listed as QB2, by the way, on the San Francisco 49ers roster. Toe up.
How about that?
4 people have been arrested in connection to the shooting of Florida State linebacker Ethan Pritchard. Florida Department of Law Enforcement Commissioner Mark Glass said Wednesday. Glass said Pritchard was not doing anything wrong when he was ambushed outside an apartment last month. He added that Pritchard was dropping off family members, an aunt and a child, when he was shot in the back of the head.
Definitely worth considering what happened yesterday. Worth bringing that back up again and just senseless violence. He wasn't do anything wrong.
So sad. It's sick. The Dallas Cowboys, speaking of sick, could be without cornerback Deron Bland for a couple of weeks because of a right foot injury suffered on Monday's practice. He didn't practice Wednesday, but we'll see if he can get back on the field. That's a big loss if they don't have him.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight in the National Football League, Diesel, the Commanders are at the Green Bay Packers. I love this.
Chance to be a really good game.
I'm so excited. I love it. You know why? Normally Thursday night football sucks.
Yeah.
It's usually like the Cowboys. And
you just stop there.
Yeah,
just as long as the Cowboys are playing, it's mediocre
usually
football.
Sucks, but no, this is good. Kudos to the NFL. Also, tonight a little double dipper.
Yeah.
How about that? In the football ranks, college football, NC State at Wake Forest.
Ooh, the fighting Robbie Ashfords.
The Wolfpack Diesel, 7.5-point favorite. I'm sorry, that game is at NC State. You're right, Robbie Ashford. So you'll have to watch Thursday Night Football on Prime, bring your other TV into the room, and pull that game up on, let's see, what channel is that on tonight? Should be ESPN, and it is.
So far, 3 Tolos have taken that game, by the way.
So how do you watch Prime and ESPN? I guess the only way to do it is
have a laptop and a TV out.
Go to a sports bar or have a laptop, like you said, 2 TVs.
This is the one thing that, like, YouTube TV has multi-view.
Yeah.
Roku, ESPN app now has multi-view. They got to figure out a way for you to launch multiple apps at the same time. That's the biggest annoyance when you're trying to, watch the Fox Big Noon Saturday game and an ESPN game at the same time. You can't do it. You still have to have multiple TVs. Come on, it's 2025. Why can't we figure this out?
You would think we'd be able to. You would think so, right?
We have the technology.
Let's see. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson apologized to the Buffalo Bills fan that he shoved in retaliation Sunday night, but the 2-time MVP offered it some advice and said, just chill next time.
Shouldn't have apologized. He didn't do anything wrong.
Just chill.
The fan slapped him on the helmet. If you didn't know what was going on, the fan slapped DeAndre Hopkins on the helmet, and then he slapped Lamar Jackson on the helmet, and then Lamar Jackson shoved him.
Terrible news here, Diesel. Former App State head coach Sean Clark, who's now the O-line coach at UCF, and his family have been rushed to the hospital after Sean was rushed to the hospital after a medical emergency. A report from UCF last night said he was in stable condition, so that's at least good news, right? That he's in
prayers
stable condition.
to Sean.
The Dilworth Neighborhood Grill is back at it again, trolling the Panthers, this time Diesel at red. Great opening day. Just not for the Panthers.
Oh,
that's so good.
And do you think Dave Tepper still drives past that restaurant?
Sure he does. I'm sure he does.
We are creatures of habit.
Tolos,
good on you.
Get us your upset picks, by the way. And also, last one, as we started the show, we remember the 2,977 people who lost their lives in New York City on this day 24 years ago. Just awful, awful, awful. And again, I hope we never forget.
When we come back, it is time. Tolos, if you haven't gotten them in yet, send us your upset picks. Cole and I will re-give our upset picks. Maybe that'll be a good reason for you to not take the picks that we're taking. And we'll get yours, and we'll bring back an oldie but a goldie segment on this show, Cole, called The Carolinas Top 10 through 2 weeks. Let's rank the 10 FBS playing teams in the Carolinas. That's next. Well, Tolos, it's day number 2 to get your week 3 upset picks in here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. And here's your chance, 844-326-3663. Tolo Corn Chip. He's taking Kent State plus 20. Wow, Corn Chip, really? Kent State 22.5 over Buffalo. That's a big, bold pick, my friend.
That's big time.
Almost as bold as Gert from Greer going with South Florida plus 17.5 over Miami. Do you think the Bulls can sneak up on Miami after having just upset the in-state Florida Gators?
I think they could cover the spread. I really do. I think they could cover the 17.5, but when it comes to winning outright,
I mean,
I don't know about that.
I don't think we're in desperation time. It's only week 3, Tolos. You start stacking some 5, 7, 10 pointers, and you can get yourself back into this challenge. But that's what makes this challenge so much fun and so dang frustrating.
You call this fun? You call losing fun?
Yeah, maybe.
I hate
this exercise
challenge.
In.
This is the one thing I'd wake up and despise is a stupid challenge because I'm so bad at it. By the way, I know
it's a little sadistic.
Yeah, a little bit. There was a lot going on yesterday with obviously the Charlie Kirk stuff. A lot of you Tolos probably weren't plugged in as much as you usually are. So a big time call on you today. We've really got to get the numbers up and get those upset picks in. I wasn't really focused on it yesterday either, so I know a lot of you Tolos weren't, but we've got to get them in right now, 844-326-3663. Let's freaking go.
That's
Flood
right.
them up. Flood it. Let's go.
We are sitting right now at 63 picks, and normally the 60 pick mark is where we're sitting after the Wednesday show.
Yeah.
So you guys got to pick it up, Tolos. 844-326-3663. Now, if you're asking yourself, what the heck is this upset picks challenge?
Don't bother.
Welcome to the show. I know. Don't tell them that. That's bad rating.
I'm not just kidding.
If you're just finding the show, and that's okay. Some people have been in sort of a sports hibernation for the past couple of months. It's a challenge where your goal is to pick upsets, an outright upset, not against the spread, but the underdog has to win the game outright. Obviously, with 3-pointers, 3.5-point spreads, those are a little easier to pick. But you're also trying to get the most number of points at the end of the season that you can, and you're not going to do that with 3.5-point picks.
I'm just very much in this upset picks challenge like Marshawn Lynch.
I'm here so I won't get fined.
That's I'm here so I won't get fined. I've got to play. I've got to participate. I suck. I really suck.
Man, you're such a downer
I'm
right
not
now.
good at this thing. I'm not good at it.
You could go on a heater. I mean,
can't.
You're not making bad picks. You're really not.
Well, they're not
They're
hitting.
just not hitting.
They're bad picks. They're not hitting. They're bad picks, right?
And the hard part is we've seen so far through 3 weeks, we've seen USC Justin hit 3 in a row, Gamecock Tim, Rory, Bo from Greer, Kane's transplant, Who's Your Daddy, Nashty, and Tom in Somerville. These guys have all hit 3 in a row right out of the gate.
I hate Tom so much. I hate Tom. I really do. I hate that guy. Well, I know we just got done talking about not hating because I can't stand Tom in Somerville. He wins too much.
Well, the medal stand right now, USC Justin has 34 points in total. That's crazy. That means he's hitting for an average of 11.5-ish points every single week.
That's incredible.
It's crazy. Gamecock Tim has 33. Dave Mosley has 30. And the fun part about this really is that you can jump in at any point in this challenge. You can stink it up for the first 4, 5, 6 weeks of the season, go on a run, and get yourself back in there. I was at the bottom of the list with you all last season, Cole, until like the last 5 weeks of the season. I started hitting, and I got all the way up into like 10th place.
Yeah.
So it can happen. Don't get discouraged. Don't drop out because you're not playing well. Keep being a part of this challenge, and you need to stay a part of this challenge because guess what? If you have points and you don't make a pick,
you lose them.
You lose 2.
Yep.
If you get one wrong, you lose 1 point, but you can't fall below 0.
Tolos, here's what we're going to do. I know there's a lot of you out there, and Diesel said we've got 60-something so far. Mm-hmm. A lot of you out there listening right now. We are calling on you right now. We're going full telethon. We need you to 844-326-3663 this thing. right? On the Hub City Spartan Burgers text line. The phone lines are open. You can get your upset pick in that way as well. But 844-326-3663. Type that number in your phone. Stop what you're doing. Again, one more time. 844. Go ahead, type it in. 326. All right, now 3663. And in the body of the text, like Diesel said, we need your name, the game you're picking, and the spread. So, just like Tolo J. Butane did a minute ago, he went Missouri State. They have a state in Missouri. Plus 27.5 over SMU. Tolo J. Butane. Perfectly.
Missouri State Bears, by the way.
See, I didn't even Missouri State.
I only know that because the Sun Belt's been like eyeing them from a distance, but they're still too small.
They're still the Bears.
Yeah,
so that's how you fill your text out. We have really got to get these numbers up compared to what we normally have. Again, it's still Thursday at 4:00. We've still got time, but all of those out there, you hundreds and thousands of people listening in the upstate, let's get them in. Let's flood the text. Let's see if we can break the text line. Go.
Let's do it. Cole, while the Tolos are getting those picks in, we used to do something on this station a while back called our Carolina's Top 10. This is our ranking right now snapshot of the 12 best teams, the 10 best teams in the Carolinas, because there are exactly 10 FBS Division I playing football schools in the Carolinas. How would you rank them?
Wow.
1 through 10?
Both Carolinas.
Friends have been made and enemies have been made as well in this ranking.
What's a Carolina related song that I can pull up? Help me out, Tolos, real quick.
Carolina on my mind.
Oh, I like that. That's a good one.
Sweet Caroline, but that's not great.
I like Carolina. James Taylor. You can't go wrong with that. That's
he just played in Simpsonville like last weekend.
Oh, with that dump.
Stop.
Oh, sorry.
It's not a dump. It's not great.
It's a dump.
It's not great.
That place is a dump. It's like it's a lawn with a couple of trash cans and some bricks. It's a dump.
Could you put up a roof, please?
All right, I'm taking it out of the stream. Sorry, Tolo's on the stream. You can't hear it because we'll get fired. But let's do it. So what are we doing? Top 10. You ready?
Top 10 in the Carolinas. Do you want to go 10 to 1 or 1 to 10?
Go 10 to 1.
10 to 1. Okay. This is number 10's easy. The Charlotte 49ers.
No.
What? You don't believe that? Okay, well, I'll give my top 10.
Just kidding.
You can react and you give your top 10.
I was going to say Carolina.
Charlotte's 0-2. They got a new head coach. They were not competitive really in either game. Yeah. Charlotte's 10. That's an easy one.
No, I was just kidding. I'm with you there. They're terrible.
Number 9 on my top 10 for the Carolinas, the North Carolina Tar Heels. Their only win was against the number 10 team on this list. They got blown out in a huge opportunity to look good against TCU. So I've got North Carolina as my number 9.
Okay, I have an issue with that. I think North Carolina's too low. For example, by the way, I don't have a problem with Charlotte. Charlotte might not win many games this year, like for real. I think North Carolina would beat Coastal, even though Coastal's my upset pick, and I need them. I think North Carolina would beat Coastal. I think they'd make it interesting with teams like App State and ECU. We'll see what they can do against the Wake Forests and Duke of the world, but I don't know. Maybe you're being a little too hard on Belichick.
Well, I got Coastal Carolina as my number 8 team. A blowout loss to Virginia, a program that is just never really that good anyway. They had a close home win to Charleston Southern, a team that they should have outclassed. So I've got Coastal as my number 8 team.
Coastal, no problem there. Their offense, I think it was RJ who texted in yesterday about their offense. Offense has been really bad.
Problem is you have them upsetting East Carolina at home.
Well, there's always a time to turn things around. That time's now.
All right, number 7 on my list, I've got my App State Mountaineers. They're 2-0, but they have looked very sloppy in both of those games. Really bad last week against Lindenwood, but they are 2-0. So that's got to count for something.
And you know what? I mean, for a new coach, you're right. A little bit shaky in those two, but heck, it's a new coach.
Yeah.
They're 2-0. New coach, that's all he can ask.
I've got East Carolina as my number 6 team. They are 1-1 with a close road loss to NC State, and they blew out Campbell at home. They've done basically what they were supposed to do to this point. So I like ECU at number 6.
Yeah, can I say this real quick about ECU? I'm just so disappointed. I felt like ECU 3 years ago or so was trending in the direction of becoming like really, really good. Obviously, their coach isn't there anymore. He's at Clemson now as an assistant or an analyst or whatever he is. I thought ECU could be a premier program in this state.
I think ECU is probably a better football team than number 6 on this list, but I don't know that they would beat many of the teams that are up above them. Number 5, I've got Wake Forest. Again, 2-0 has to count for something. They looked bad against an inferior opponent and looked good against another one. So they're kind of all over the place, Wake Forest. We're going to find out a lot about them tonight.
No, that's true. You know what, though? Like, here's what I would say is by the way, if you just tuned in and wondering why we're playing South Carolina-related songs, it's Diesel's South Carolina, or it's Carolina top 10. Yep. North Carolina and South Carolina. I will say, for a team like Wake Forest, maybe the transfer portal can make Wake Forest what Vandy is in the SEC. And I don't mean just because they have similar colors. I mean because in this new era of college football, you can get guys out of the portal that are immediate impact kind of guys. And, oh, by the way, Robbie Ashford's been around the block a time or two, in college football.
Yeah.
Is he good? We'll see. He might not be, but I guess he'll be good enough at Wake Forest. Maybe Wake Forest can be the Vandy feel-good story of the ACC.
Honestly, similar-looking mascots, too. When you put them side by side, the Demon Deacon and the Commodore kind of look alike, just different hats.
And they're both smart, right? If you go there, you're smart. Don't you have to be smart to get in there?
Yeah, you do have to be smart to get in those schools.
I wouldn't know.
Number 4, I didn't even send in an application. Number 4 on my list, I've got the Duke Blue Devils. They could never get off the mat against Illinois. They can't really run the ball very, very well. They're turnover prone, but I still think they're better than Wake Forest, who struggled against a G5, an FCS.
No, I'm with you there. No pushback. We'll see. Again, one of those kind of situations with that coach up there, man. You kind of felt like they had some momentum when they hired him, and we'll see. It's a tough place to win football games.
Number 3 on my list, I've got the other team we're going to see play tonight, the NC State Wolfpack, 2-0, but the defense looks suspect after a single possession win over East Carolina and Virginia. I think they're able to do just enough to win right now.
When you said that, I'll tell you what thought went through my head. We're down bad. We're down bad as 2 states. If NC State's our third best team and the Carolinas, are you kidding me?
I mean, they should be. Honestly, they're the biggest other state school among all these. Well, North Carolina as well.
I don't know, man. Where's Wofford on this list? Where's my Terriers at? Where's the Furman Paladins?
If we want to do an FCS list, we could do that too.
I know. This is FBS only.
Number 2 on my list, and this is where people are going to get mad at me. I got Clemson as the second best team in the Carolinas. They looked bad against Troy. South Carolina hasn't looked particularly amazing offensively either in their 2 games. But if you put them on the field right now, neutral site, South Carolina wins 2 out of 3 games.
Somebody's going to get mad at you for that.
That's fine. Right? Whatever.
Dewey's,
come at me. I don't care.
No, Dewey will like it because Dewey's a Gamecock.
Any pushback?
Here's what's interesting on that. Neither have looked great.
Yeah.
Neither have looked, maybe it's just kind of what the flavor of the month now with who kind of looks best at this time of the
nobody looks great in these states.
I know that's what I'm saying. It's kind of been all, and there was so much hype. Look, it's a long season. Clemson's 1-1 to your point. If this is tough, if I had to right now rank one ahead of the other, I'd probably agree with you just in terms of same thing I said after the Virginia Tech game. I watch South Carolina and see a lot of talent. Now, that doesn't mean that I watch Clemson and don't see talent, Diesel, but I think South Carolina is here for those watching on the stream, for those listening on the radio. I'm sorry, but I think South Carolina, Diesel, is here, but I think they have the potential to be here. I think they've got the talent. I just don't think they have played near what they're capable of doing, and a lot of that has to do with their offensive line and run game. Most teams go as their offensive line and run game goes, right. And it's been non-existent through these first 2 games. But I'd have to give them a little edge, I guess, right now over Clemson. Like, let's play this game. If they played today, who would you pick?
South Carolina. I pick South Carolina. I think it'd be a close football game. I think it'd be a turnover-prone football game for both teams.
Yeah.
Neutral site. You play the game in Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, it's Clemson's defense is good, but then again, they've shown vulnerable areas rather, Diesel, through these first two games that have concerned me, Now, if they go blow out Georgia Tech Saturday, if they just look like the Clemson of old,
the list can change.
That's right.
The list will change next week.
It's fluid.
Yeah. Texter says if someone's getting mad at you over putting Clemson at number 2, then they don't actually really understand ball.
Oh,
I would have put Clemson lower, honestly, the way they've looked the first 2 weeks. And I'm a Clemson fan. You would have put them lower than who, Texter? That's who I'm curious.
Charlotte.
Good God. Oh, man. Dig a hole and throw dirt on
North Greenville.
Out loud.
Who else?
My top 10 again: South Carolina, Clemson, NC State, Duke, Wake, East Carolina, App State, Coastal, UNC Tar Heels all the way down at number 9, and Charlotte at 10.
How's that thing go? Duke is puke, Wake is fake.
The team I hate is NC State.
You can't get to heaven in a red canoe. That's why God made the skies Carolina blue. I think.
I didn't know there was more to the song.
More to the song there. And
see, I'm learning stuff
I think
today.
I got it right. I think I will say this. We've got some bad teams in the Carolinas this year. No offense, but we do. We do. We just
so far we do.
We're not outperforming what we kind of thought in terms of preseason expectations. I want to do this, though, before we run to a break. Keeping on the topic of Carolina, I'm going to quiz you. I'm going to put you, because you're a smart one. You remember numbers and things like that.
That's a lot of
How many FCS teams are there in the Carolinas? In the Carolinas,
FCS. Am I allowed to count, or should I just guess a number? Okay.
Count.
FCS, you've got Western Carolina. You've got UNC. No, UNC Greensboro doesn't play football. So you got Western.
I forgot about that.
I know. I'm now trying to think like who's moved up. Western, Campbell, Elon. You've got PC, Wofford, Furman, Charleston Southern, Citadel.
Ooh.
Who else am I?
Did you say PC?
I did say PC.
Okay.
I've got 8 right now, and I think I'm still probably 1 or 2 short.
3, 4.
UNC Asheville. I don't think UNC Asheville
There's
plays
10,
football.
by the way.
There's 10. So,
Did you say?
Does UNCA play football?
No.
I didn't think they did.
No. They got a nice
Winston-Salem, like NC A&T.
A&T, North Carolina
A&T. Is Winston-Salem State FCS? I think there might be Division II.
Yeah.
Another FCS in the state.
You're missing one.
Which state is it from? Can you tell me?
I don't think you've mentioned this in North Carolina. Again, you might have. Let me ask you this. You mentioned A&T.
Yep.
Did you mention North Carolina Central?
No, I didn't. Okay, that's the one I missed.
And you did get
NC
Campbell?
Central. I got Campbell.
Did you get Davidson?
They play football?
No.
No, they don't.
You're right. Why doesn't Davidson play football? That's a good question.
Small school.
Citadel, you got
putting all that money in basketball, baby.
You're right. Yeah, you got it. North Carolina Central.
9 out of 10.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I would have got maybe 3, I think.
Tolo J. Butane says if Clemson and South Carolina played today, Cade would be benched by halftime. Whoo.
Man, that's rough.
Texter says more than 10 FCS teams in the Carolinas. No, they're not.
They play football.
They play football.
They play football.
Yeah, if they don't play football, then they're not FCS, because that's, what the F stands for in FCS? Football Championship Subdivision. Otherwise, they're just a mid-major in basketball.
Oh,
it's not FCS.
Yeah. Again, Tex, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm looking at the list here. Diesel said the Citadel, Charleston Southern, Furman, PC. Did you say South Carolina State?
I missed that. I didn't say South Carolina State.
That's true. Okay, so there might be, 11? We got most of them, though. Good gosh. I mean, good. Gardner-Webb. Did we mention Gardner-Webb? Bowling Springs,
no, I didn't. There are more.
All right,
so,
sorry,
okay,
Texter.
Now we're going down the list, okay? Campbell, Charleston Southern, Citadel, Davidson. Does Davidson have football?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Do they?
I don't think so. Maybe Elon. I did say Elon. I said Furman.
Yeah.
I missed Gardner-Webb. Add to that list A&T, Central, NC Central.
Yeah.
Presbyterian. Then you got to add South Carolina State, Western Carolina, and Wofford.
Okay, that's close enough.
So maybe an 11 or 12. Does Davidson play football?
I swear they don't. Davidson doesn't play football, do they? Up there, Lake Norman? I don't think. No. There's no way they do. I'm telling you, there's no way.
They do have football.
No, they don't.
What? They do have
Davidson
football.
does?
I didn't know that.
They really do?
I didn't know that. You know who should move up to the FCS level? Lenoir-Rhyne. Lenoir-Rhyne University in
I've been
Hickory.
up there. I've been up there
Should move
twice.
up, and they should join the Southern Conference because after App State left, they need another Western North Carolina-based FCS school.
Yeah, I had a lot of problems in that press
stadium.
box when I was up there. I don't know. It was some kind of mental interference or something. I've been up there twice, though. It is nice. Man, sorry, Texter. There's more than 10. And Davidson plays football?
Erskine is Erskine FCS?
No. They're
Erskine's not FCS.
No, Erskine's not FCS. By the way, does Davidson know they have a football program? Serious question.
Didn't they just restart football?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't even know they had football. How do you host a sports show and not know Davidson has football? Sorry, we don't cover
You guys
Davidson,
suck.
but we do cover NFL. Next. Tolos, who do you like tonight? NFL football on a Thursday. There's nothing like almost being at the weekend and then a little Thursday night. It's like they just give us, here's a little taste. Here's a little, a
little salt-based sprinkling.
Yeah, just a little cracker, a little piece of cheese to bring you in close, right? And all of a sudden, then you're pulled in Friday and Saturday, Sunday. Let's go tonight in the NFL. Also, we have a college game too, but Diesel, Packers hosting the Washington Commanders, two young quarterbacks, potentially the quarterbacks that are going to be leading the NFC for many, many years to come with Jordan Love and Jaden Daniels. Green Bay tonight at home as a 3.5-point favorite. I love what Washington's done. I also love what Green Bay's done. I feel like both of these quarterbacks, Diesel, have a ton of upside. Micah Parsons played, I think, 24, 25 snaps. A little bit of easing them into the defense for Green Bay in that first week. But I don't know. There's something about me that tells me this Washington team's for real, man.
I mean, how could you not think that? Jaden Daniels had one of the best debut seasons as a rookie that we've seen in a while. Really good first season out there. Seems so poised and so ready. And if you can figure out the quarterback situation early, number one, it takes a lot of pressure off of development over the course of 2 or 3 or 4 seasons. Bryce Young.
Oh.
Number two, it allows you to still build a team around that guy while he's still young and inexpensive.
Yeah,
You're not
true.
spending a tremendous amount of money. Now, will that change things after his rookie contract is over? Yeah. It's going to change things because that guy's going to want some money.
Both of these young guys.
Correct. Yeah, true. But great quarterbacks on both of these two teams. I mean, if you're the Carolina Panthers, you'd swap for either one of them.
Oh, kind of hard.
If I'm sure there's some, maybe not all, not you, but there's some Dallas Cowboys fans out there who would easily swap for Jaden, maybe swap for Jordan.
It's interesting.
What do you think?
Nah, I'm good. I like that. So
okay.
I think
even though he spits on people.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of an overreaction type spot tonight. What I mean by that is we saw Green Bay off to a 1-0 start last week, but I think this is a good spot tonight for Washington to get the win. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction spot, if you will. Look, the Packers looked good last week. They got the win, but their offense was, it was okay. If you look at their production, they did enough to win the football game. But let's not sit here and act like what they did offensively a week ago was the best thing in the world when they played the Detroit Lions last week. Let's see, Jordan Love, 188 yards passing. So, not bad, but nothing to write home to mom about, right? Josh Jacobs, 66 yards on the ground. Again, Green Bay was not bad. They scored 27 points, and they got the win. Total yards, though, 266 yards a week ago. I don't think the volume will be at what it needs to be tonight. No Christian Watson, a consecutive 4. Look, Washington sustained drives, Diesel. They sustain drives. They control tempo. And, man, when you have a quarterback like Jaden Daniels that puts constant stress on a defensive front, we can talk all we want to about Micah Parsons, but when you look at Green Bay's front tonight, that quarterback for Washington is going to put all kind of stress on that defense. And if he's able to control tempo and kind of control the flow of the game, I could be wrong, but I like Washington a lot tonight.
This could be a blowout win for Washington on the road. I'd love to see it be another instant classic. I wish the NFL would put more. Whoa.
My ring light
angel. Am I getting raptured? What's going on here?
Your light.
I didn't think I was eligible.
No, your light just.
Now it won't turn off. Good.
I'll unplug it. Hold on.
Oh my God.
I'll unplug it.
Wow.
Taking the toe.
If you're not watching the stream, my ring light.
Hold on.
That was not turned on.
Ready? While I start singing for me.
Was not even turned on. Just all of a sudden went pow.
There we go.
Bright as that. Maybe that's why it was unplugged for the longest time. We were
because
wondering.
It has a mind of its own. Maybe
do
so.
What it wants to do.
Yeah, that was funny. It just all of a sudden turned on.
I can't see anything now.
Yeah. So, anyways, Diesel's okay.
It's like staring at the sun. Who does that?
Tolos, who do you like tonight? Who do you like, Washington or Green Bay? Look, Green Bay, I'm not taking anything away from them. I think Matt LaFleur is a fantastic coach. Jordan Love took care of the football a week ago. And like I said, while his numbers weren't like sensational, I think he completed 73% of his passes. So takes care of the football. He's efficient. He had 2 touchdowns. Also, he can be involved in the run game just as Jaden Daniels can. Look, I think this is 2 teams tonight that are similar in a lot of ways. I just ultimately think that Jaden Daniels, his impact goes unnoticed so many times. I think this could get, to your point, you brought up a blowout. I don't know that it'll be a blowout, but I would not be surprised if Washington and Dan Quinn tonight made it very simple and said, look, let's get the ball to our best players. Let's not overthink this. Let's not overcomplicate this thing. Let's get Jaden Daniels involved. Let's get Deebo Samuel involved. Pass game, run game. I love Diesel when Deebo Samuel is involved in the run game. He's a Swiss Army knife that a lot of teams can't, that they don't have an answer for. I just ultimately think offensively, I think Washington has more weapons. Green Bay's good, but I think Washington has a few more weapons offensively. And if they get Deebo involved, like I always yell for teams to do, not many guys out there are going to stop Deebo Samuels.
So I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to make my score prediction.
All right.
I'm going to say Washington wins 30-17.
Oh, wow.
On the road.
Okay.
30-17. Would you consider that to be a blowout?
No, I wouldn't say it would be a blowout. The only reason I say no to that
13-point win.
Yeah, 13-point win. Think about it like this. It could be 23, 17, 10. Late in the game. And all of a sudden, Washington kapows right there at the end, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a blowout. It wouldn't shock me the least to see a 13-point game. I was probably leaning around 9, a little bit more tonight. And again, the spread, boy, we're both idiots because the spread's only 3.5, right? So Vegas looking at this game, man, and thinking this could be a close one tonight. Again, you got to respect both teams.
I just like Jaden Daniels' ability to get going, get up to speed earlier in the season than Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And it's just a feeling. And Jordan Love is a fine quarterback. He's a quality quarterback. I didn't see what he did last week as a shocking, amazing performance. And I don't think he's going to be ready to do that again in week 2.
So the Packers did cover the spread a week ago. The Commanders also covered the spread. Take that into consideration if you're going to put some cheese on this thing tonight. Both teams 1-0 thus far against the spread. The under also hit in the Commanders game and in the Packers game. So if you look at this game tonight, something has to give. Both teams covered the spread a week ago. We have small sample sizes because it's still so early in the NFL season, but the under also hit. There wasn't a lot of points scored over in that Detroit Lions game. Their offense was missing Ben Johnson. Tonight, Diesel, the over-under set at 48.5. So I always take the 48 or whatever the number is and divide it by 2, right? Yep. And say, okay, 24 and some change, 24 and a quarter. If it's 21-24, the under hits. If it's your score, obviously the over is going to hit in a big way there, 30-17. But I will go score prediction-wise. I'll go Washington to win as well. I like the Commanders to win the game tonight. I think they score 28. I think Washington scores 28 points. A little bit of slow start maybe for the Commanders, and they get things going. And I'll go 28-20. 28-20 is my final score.
So you got them at 48 points. I've got them at 47 points.
Do I have them at how many?
You got them at 48.
And the over-under is 48.5.
Yep.
And what was your score?
30-17. So that's 47 points.
Oh, you're right. So you went high on I had that wrong, and I said you went over. You went high on the Commanders, but low on the Packers. Ooh, so we're right there, both of us, right there. I mean, just barely under. The money line, not a bad play tonight if you wanted to play the money line. It's when the spread is as small as it is, it does allow you to afford the money line. So
Texter says another example that Cole can't math, thinking that 47
I know,
is
I wasn't paying attention. I can't math. No, I remember Diesel had picked a large victory, and I was thinking 30-something, 20-something. I forgot it was 30-17. You're right, Texter. I can't math. I'm not good at it.
That's why we word for a living.
That's right. And man, 47. You're right. 47 is not 48.
It's true.
Thanks for that. By the way, Christy Mann getting her upset pick in. John Rhodes doing the same thing. A few Tolos. We've still got a long way to go and a little bit of a short time to get there. We'll see if we can do it.
Christy Mann going Arkansas plus 7.5 over Ole Miss. MTC Scott going Troy plus 3.5 over Memphis. I guess he liked what he saw in the Clemson game last week. John Rhodes is going Texas A&M plus 6.5 over Notre Dame. Spent a lot of time, Cole, talking about gambling in that last segment. Evil, naughty gambling.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? More college athletes are caught up in a gambling scandal. Who is it? Where were they going to school? Is the school going to get slapped? We'll answer all the questions on that next. Cole, we keep putting gambling and sports betting in front of younger and younger kids by having them watch sports and then running advertising and putting it on the walls around the stadiums. It's inevitable that more and more young college athletes are going to say, hey, I know about this team. I'm playing in this game. I'm going to throw some scratch down on the table. It's not the first time this has happened, and by God, it won't be the last time, but the NCAA is investigating 13 more men's basketball student athletes at 6 different schools for violating the NCAA's sports betting rules. Do you think that as this continues to happen, it's going to make the NCAA say, you know what? We're going to pull out of all gambling apps?
No, I don't see that happening. I didn't know where you were going there, what the NCAA might do, but I don't see them.
They're not going to pull out. There's too much money involved. Okay. So far, this comes from Chris Vanini of The Athletic. The infractions occurred at Eastern Michigan, Temple, Arizona State, New Orleans, North Carolina A&T, and Mississippi Valley. The focus of these investigations is on the players, not on the schools. So they're looking at individual basketball players who allegedly bet on and against, that's where it's sad, betting against their own teams, sharing information with third parties for the purposes of sports betting, knowingly manipulating scoring or game outcomes, and or refusing to participate with investigators.
Yeah, I changed my mind. I'm good with it.
Read
those schools again.
Eastern Michigan,
okay.
Temple,
okay.
Arizona State,
okay.
That's by far the biggest.
Okay.
New Orleans,
okay.
North Carolina A&T, and Mississippi Valley.
Outside of New Orleans, what else is there to do in those cities?
Look,
besides sports gambling, right? I don't blame the guy. What are you doing at Temple? What are you doing at Temple, Diesel?
You know full well that kids are gambling at bigger schools. They're just not going to pop those bigger schools.
That doesn't happen. Does it?
So what you're saying, Cole, is that kids who can't afford to go to the more expensive schools, i.e., poor kids or bad kids, ergo they're going to do all
gambling. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
It's sad. I mean, we're talking about point shaving here. We're talking about outcome manipulation. And look, maybe that gives some people reason to pause and say, I don't want to get involved with sports betting because these kids are clearly manipulating the game and gambling on it themselves.
I say we just make it legal and normalize it. That way there's, what are we doing? Because
if you legalize it, then that's going to happen more often. And they're all going to do it.
The heck with it. Let them do it.
Erode all confidence in the industry and then people stop betting.
Let me tell you why I say that. And I say that obviously kind of joking. Yeah. I just don't have any confidence or any faith whatsoever that there's ever going to be an input to this. I just don't. I mean, how are you going to crack down on all these college athletes at every single campus, Diesel?
Instant banning from the game, and you'd have to have the NBA and foreign leagues as well. Instantly ban, like your career as a basketball player is over the moment you get caught for gambling. That's the only way.
Well, you met me right. I mean, like the death penalty, right?
Essentially, yeah.
So what you're saying is it's law and order. There's not enough law and order being put in place. So
more or less, yeah.
So the athletes that are doing that don't really see the repercussions, don't really see the ramifications, much like the world we live in.
I mean, I can't imagine that the student athletes outside of the one or plural, multiple that were at Temple and Arizona State, I can't imagine they're making any NIL money, like real NIL money, right? So maybe that's they say, hey, I can gamble on this. I can make a couple of grand. That's the best I can do. But still, it's such a
some stricter repercussions.
Yeah, it's such a huge gamble on your life and your career to say, you know what? If I get busted, my NBA career might be over, but I'm going to do it anyway for a couple $100.
What a novel idea that is, though. What a novel idea to have law and order and repercussions for things that you do that are wrong. Man, what a great idea. I'm with you.
So far, they're not releasing any of the names, which I think they absolutely should. You got to release the names of these players because not one of them is on the same roster anymore. I mean, some of them might have graduated, some of them might have transferred, but we got to know which guys are the cheaters. Put a scarlet letter, put a big old C, a red C for cheater on their
So you have one for captain and one for cheater.
Correct.
That makes sense. It makes Mom, what are those 2 C's for? I thought there was only 1 C. Well, honey, they cheated.
Yeah.
That's why there's a C on their chest. I love it. I love it. But I also love the Tolo takeover. And I'm going to do something, Diesel. There are a lot of Tolos out there who have never called the show, never made their gripe public, never let their voice be heard. And you know why I know that? Well, number one, our ratings tell us. Number two, so many people right now texting in their upset picks challenge entry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to call on you Tolos out there. Let's get some new Tolos. What is it? It's the Tolo takeover. You sound off. You voice your opinion. You give your hot take, whatever it might be. It's completely your segment. The Tolo takeover's next. It is time for all of you Tolos out there to finally put your money where your mouth is. I know what you say. We hear you. You always are out there talking about coal and diesel. They never know what they're talking about. They're no good. They talk too much. Well, guess what? Now's your opportunity. Now's your shot to call in at 844-326-3663 and sound off. Phone lines are wide open. Let's hear from a few new Tolos. We love hearing hey, first-time caller, long-time listener. Let's get that a couple of times today. What do you think? Do you think we can get it, Diesel? A couple of new call-in Tolos?
I don't know that they. I don't know that they have the stones required.
Wow.
I'm calling you out. I'm saying you're scared, Tolos.
Scared.
You got a lot of things to say at your radio. You yell at your steering wheel when we're on the show, but you never pick up the phone and say what you need to say. What do the kids say? Say it with your chest. Call in 844-326-3663. Some of our Tolos love this caller. Some of our Tolos are really annoyed by this caller.
But
he has a big old set because he calls us every single day.
TMI there. TMI, just saying. TMI.
Metaphorically.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Metaphorically.
I do want to go real quick before we get to Dewey. We're going to go to Dewey, and then we're going to hit a few more at 844-326-3663. A little bit different of a Tolo takeover today as well. We asked this question in the very first segment, and we know a lot of you are just getting off work on this Thursday, picking us up for the first time, tuning in for the first time. 24 years ago, horrible, horrible day in our country and in our world. We all know what happened with 9/11. Diesel and I talked about in the very first segment where we were when it happened. And, my biggest hope and prayer is that we'll never truly forget about this day. So Tolos out there, you know what? It might be a little more serious of a Tolo takeover, maybe a little more somber than usual. That's fine. But we'll want to hear from you at 844-326-3663. Your story, because Diesel and I really like to keep it local, really like to keep it personal, I guess, if you will. And I want to hear your side of the story, Tolos out there. Where were you on this day 24 years ago when we saw just a horrific act of terrorism on this country? I was sick from school that day. Mm-hmm. Diesel, I remember watching on TV. You said you were in high school, right?
Yeah, I can still remember exactly where I was. I was downstairs in our library in the computer lab. I don't remember which class it was. It might have been like foreign language, like German class.
Yeah.
I think that might have been what I was there for. And our teacher had to come in and break the news to us that it had happened. And this is when just the first plane had hit the building. Yeah. And then they had to come in and say, oh, it happened again. This is real. This is somebody intentionally doing this. It wasn't an accident. We're under attack.
Yeah. I this morning I was doing a little work on the computer and I had the news channel on. And they showed like a 10-minute long documentary that I wasn't expecting. It was incredibly touching. And they prefaced by saying, Diesel, they only show it once a year on 9/11 because there's a lot of pieces of footage that are really hard to watch in that documentary, that short clip they showed this morning. And man, some of the footage, the phone footage, and the camera footage, if you will, didn't have iPhones obviously then, but man, the footage, it just tears you apart. And going back to what we said, a very short summary from what we said in the first segment, it's dark. Hate has no place in this world, whether it's foreign or domestic, and especially when it's domestic like we had yesterday. We've got to get to the point where we can drive out hate with love. And what a horrible day it was 24 years ago. So, Tolos, I want to hear from you at 844-326-3663. And again, it's not the fact that we want to keep it sad, but we truly, Diesel and I truly do love hearing different aspects of where you were. And a lot of you people that listen to the show, a lot of you Tolos are new to the area. So you might have some really neat stories to share about what happened 24 years ago.
Let's go to the phone lines and bring in Dewey, who's got something to say, always has something to say. Dewey, welcome into Wire to Wire.
Yes, I got a couple things to say, but I get the serious stuff out of the way first.
Okay.
I was going to work.
Dewey?
Yeah, they said plane hit the tower. At first, I was like, what idiot would drive a plane into a 500-foot tower. And then, so I'm still driving, and then like 10 minutes later, it said another plane hit. Then I was like, them weren't no idiots. We were under attack. And then it would just spiral from there. And we all cried and boo-hooed. It was just terrible. And then I was like, well, crap, I want to get drafted now.
You thought that?
And I never got drafted.
Yeah.
But it was terrible. The airports were closed. Everything was closed. No one knew what to do. You went outside. People were just walking around, just like lost their dogs or something. It was just a terrible day.
It was terrible. You're right.
What happened yesterday was just absolutely terrible. And we need to do better with respecting each other and respecting each other's opinions.
I agree with you.
Because opinions are just opinions with no facts. And if we can't respect opinions, how are we going to respect facts? We don't respect facts, so I don't even know what I'm talking about. So, anyways,
we can't even agree on what facts are. Facts are a matter of opinion now, do we?
Matter of fact.
Yes, because it's what you see on social media. What you see on social media is real. TikTok is real, which is a bunch of garbage. But, anyways, that was my sad story.
Okay.
Now I got something to say that's been eating me up.
Okay.
We all become wusses, especially in football. What in the world last week? All of these lightning delays. The lightning delays. You go to a football game with your own apparel, and you know there's going to have a thunderstorm. If it's your choice to go to a football game and get struck by lightning, that's your own problem. They should not delay the game, mess the players up. All of a sudden, you think about it, you got 500,000 people in the football stadium, and they tell them all to leave. Where are they going to go? They're all trampling all over each other. What sense does that make?
So you want them to stay in the stadium during the lightning and just keep playing, Dewey, or what?
Yeah, well, back in the day, that's exactly what they did. Even now, they close schools because of a thunderstorm. And if Chris Justice says the wind's going to blow and there's a 100% chance of thunderstorms, they close the school.
So, Dewey, would you volunteer to stand on top of these stadiums with a metal rod to catch the lightning so that everyone else can enjoy the game?
Well, again, we all have choices, and we all choose to go. If I know there's going to be a bad thunderstorm, I don't leave my house. But if I want to go to a football game, I pay gazillions of dollars to go to a football game. That's to delay the game. There are so many games that was delayed. Furman, Clemson, South Carolina. I'm watching one game. I expected to be 5 minutes into it. It's a 6-hour delay. Yeah. That is bull crap.
Man.
And we went to school when we had a tornado. They made us put a book over our heads. Now they send you home. But yeah, they send the school buses out in the thunderstorm, in the tornado. We just became wusses. Oh.
Thanks, Dewey.
Dear God.
He is on one today, man.
You get under a desk and put a book over your head.
Yeah. I didn't know Dewey knew where the books were when he was in school.
I didn't know Dewey knew what books were.
Let's go to the phone lines again. Tolos, whatever you want to comment on, it's your segment. It's the Tolo Takeover. If you want to tell us where you were on this day 24 years ago, you can do so. A horrible day it was and a horrible day it is every single time we have to think about the terrible, terrible act committed against our country. We love hearing those stories from where you were when that happened 24 years ago. If you just tuned into the show, we'd love to hear from you. 844-326-3663. Let's go to Rick and Greer. What's up, Rick?
What's wrong with Dewey?
Related to you.
How much time you got, Rick?
I don't think he's taking his medication or something, okay?
I thought y'all were related, Rick. Is that not true?
And how did he get a phone in Bull Street? Okay, he's got to be in the crazy house. Okay, but related to where I was in New York. I was in Buffalo, New York, so I was pretty close to it.
What were you doing in Buffalo, New York, Rick?
I was actually working and I was in Buffalo. I worked there for almost 2 years.
Really?
So I was pretty close to it, and let me tell you, it was very, very sad. But one thing, let me be very quick. One thing you got to understand is the people that did that don't think like we do. Okay, I spent 2.5 years in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they just don't think like we do. Okay, Diesel, they don't have the mentality that we have. I mean, you can forgive them all you want, but it's never going to change them.
No, I don't forgive them. What do you? I don't know. Don't twist that around. I don't forgive them. And that's the reason why Cole. That's the reason, Rick. Why anytime we bring up Live Golf and people say, "Oh, you should forgive them. It's different people and Live Golf is fun golf. What's wrong with you? Why do you still hold that against them?" I'm never going to let that go. I'm never letting it go.
They hate us. Okay, they hate us with a passion. I don't hate the kind of people, but I saw a lot when I was over there, and it changed. It changed me. I kid around a lot, but it changed me, the way I think, the way I act. It changed me because those people, they're not crazy. They think that way because of their religion.
Yeah.
And I've never done the pick. I haven't been in that challenge.
Yeah.
I want to get mine in.
Oh,
okay.
Wow. About time, Rick.
You know how it works, Rick?
I think I do. I don't want Clemson, okay? I want who's playing Clemson. Georgia Tech?
Georgia Tech.
How do I do this?
All right, so you take Georgia Tech. What's the spread on the 3.5? I think.
Yeah,
Cole,
I believe it was.
No. It's 9.
No, it's not.
It was, but it's not anymore.
It was. Look.
Why
I bet overseas, and I've already put $100 on it, and I got 8.5 points overseas.
Well,
so
that's fine, but ESPN, our official website,
you
I can't give you more than 3. That's what ESPN gave it yesterday at 3:00, and that's the rules.
Ooh. But I'll still take Georgia Tech.
Okay. Thanks, Rick.
He's taking
Thanks.
Georgia Tech.
Appreciate you, Rick.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's the first time Rick's ever participated? Are you kidding me?
Might be.
Wow.
Cole, it's definitely worth mentioning the heroism of the passengers that were on United Airlines Flight 93, the ones that fought back, that would have potentially hit another building. There was 4 total planes that went down that day. The 2 that hit the Twin Towers, the 1 that hit the Pentagon, and 1 that went down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And that crew and those passengers on that plane that fought back, even though they knew there's a good chance they're getting shot right then and there on that plane, that took a tremendous amount of courage, and they deserve to be mentioned.
Tell you what, man, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. That is that takes an unbelievable amount of courage.
And go ahead.
No, it gives me goosebumps to think about.
And while we're all reeling over what happened 24 hours ago to Charlie Kirk, we don't need to lose sight of the fact, Cole, that there was another school shooting yesterday.
That's right.
At Evergreen High School in Colorado.
Yeah.
And gun violence does not care if you're right wing, left wing, conservative, liberal. They don't care. It happens all over the place. It's unjustified everywhere it happens. So I know we've been seeing this tremendous amount of outpouring over the last 24 hours for Charlie Kirk. We also need to be thinking about everyone who was there, witnessed it, and was involved in the Evergreen High School shooting yesterday. Yeah. Those have become so commonplace, Cole, that they barely get mentioned. And that is pathetic for all of us.
Well, that's the problem.
Who don't mention it.
And just like we said in the very first segment, Diesel, we talked about it. It doesn't matter if it's what happened yesterday. It doesn't matter if it's what happened on 9/11, 2001. There's no violence out there that we don't condemn. Like, if you condemn some violence and not other violence, something's wrong with you. And we're talking about what happened yesterday, and you're right. There's so many acts of violence that happen, unfortunately, way too often in this country, right? How about a young lady trying to go home from working who was a legal immigrant to this country on a train 50 miles north of here or northeast, and she couldn't even go home because somebody decided to slit her throat just a month
stood
ago.
Up, started stabbing her.
And again, it's just any violence. It all goes back to the for whatever reason, we have this, some people have this hate in their heart. And man, it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter what kind of act of violence it is. I think it's all wrong. I think every bit of violence is wrong.
You can't justify violence against somebody who has a different political opinion from you as being righteous in any way, shape, or form. And sadly, there's a fair amount of that on social media today for Charlie Kirk. A lot of people didn't agree with him. So some people are standing up and saying, oh, he got what he deserved. No, you cannot justify it in any way, shape, or form. You have to condemn all of this every time it happens, no matter what.
King Nip on the YouTube stream, by the way, says Dewey's the GOAT. So Dewey's got a new fan. Let's go back to the phone lines, 844-326-3663. Andrew wants to weigh in. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, guys. I really just want to say thank y'all for shedding a light on this. I know this is a sports show, and y'all do a great job of that. But, hey, I really appreciate y'all calling out all violence because, I mean, the guy who, was going after Trump on the golf course is in trial. Like, let's condemn that attempt, pretty obvious attempt. Let's condemn the attacks on the Democratic politicians a month ago that killed a Democratic politician and her husband.
Yeah.
The attempted kidnapping of the governor of Michigan. All of it's unacceptable, and I think there's a definite rise in it because of the growing trend and acceptance of the political fur and rhetoric that's gotten very violent. Like, words have power. I mean,
sure. I 100% agree with you. I said that in the very first segment, Andrew, not to cut you off. I said in the very first segment of the show, you cannot, and this happens on both sides of the political sphere, you cannot, especially if you are a political leader and just so happen a president, you cannot call other people those type of names and say things like, hey, we're going to put this guy in a bullseye. You can't say things with loose lips and then all of a sudden be surprised when these type of things happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank y'all so much.
Yeah, man.
I don't want to go on a long thing. I really appreciate that y'all called out both sides of that because it's a problem on both sides.
Well, the reality is, Andrew, the hate doesn't only happen on one side. I mean, you can walk outside and find hate in the parking lot. It's not one-sided. Hate comes from people's hearts that are evil. And for whatever reason, that evil doesn't discriminate towards Republican or Democrat. I know a lot of people that are evil Democrats and evil Republicans. It does not discriminate.
I'm going to be honest. There's people on both sides who can use their beliefs to justify anything, and I think that's a big problem.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, man.
Great call. Appreciate you being a part. I don't think Andrew's ever called in, and if you have, apologies for not remembering it, but awesome and appreciate you calling in.
Can I say this? This is what's important about these conversations. You, I, Andrew, whoever else, I don't know what side of the political sphere they're on, whatever. The fact of the matter is you should be able to do what we just did, have a conversation, agree or disagree without it becoming violent. Very simple. Very, very simple. It doesn't matter. Again, left, right, violence is not the answer. It never has been. And man, we've somehow got to figure out how to, just like we've all of a sudden forgotten about what happened in New Orleans just a few months ago when a guy with evil in his heart decided to get in a truck and just barrel down through the French Quarter and just wipe out people. Yeah. It's everywhere. Let's go back to the phone lines. Madcraft wants to weigh in. What's up, Matt?
Yeah, what's up? Tough day for everybody, obviously, but that September 11th, one of the worst it did. But I'm trying to bring back to light here. I want to talk about some games this weekend. Is that cool?
Yeah, it's the Tolo Takeover. You want to talk about it.
Okay, all right, yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about, my personal opinion, I think the two most intriguing games of this weekend are not in that clash in the SEC, nor is it South Carolina's game in the clash in the SEC. I actually believe that they're both the ACC games. I think Clemson and Georgia Tech is the most intriguing game. And then I think Miami and South Florida is intriguing as well. That being said, my prediction, just go ahead and let you guys know, we're going to run the Bulls out of Miami.
Wow.
They're going to be ran out of Hard Rock Stadium.
The running of the
Saturday.
Bulls.
You might. I mean, look,
Yeah,
they're not sneaking up
up
on you. Obviously, they just beat an in-state SEC team. There's no sneaking up on anybody right now if you're playing South Florida.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I was talking to a Florida Gator fan about that, and he couldn't seem to grasp that concept. That, you know, had they not played Florida last week and had that happen, then yeah, they would probably be flying under the radar, and that's a game that Miami typically does lose. However, after USF's strong start, there's no way that we would be overlooking them at this point. Yeah. And luckily we got them at home. But anyways, I know y'all getting ready to run up on a break. I just wanted to say, you know, again, I know it's a tough day. It's a tough topic to talk about.
Yeah.
I just want to tell each and every one of the listeners, and you guys included, seek out Jesus, even if you're a skeptic, because I promise you that he'll explain everything that's happening. Y'all be blessed.
Thanks,
man.
Matt.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Matt Kraft.
I'll say this before we run to break, and he's right. We got to run. We're going to talk sports, and we've had a lot of texts on the text line about this. About appreciate us talking about it. Best segment, you know, since Helene. Glad we're talking about it. Yada yada yada. The fact of the matter is, if you, like Diesel and I, are someone that loves this country and wants this country to be in a better place tomorrow than it is today, you have to talk about it. You can't just simply hide for 4 hours and have these sports conversations on a day like today or a day like yesterday. And look, the reality is there are people across the country and across the world that are hurting in so many different ways because of different acts of violence, like Andrew brought up on the phone call a minute ago. We've politicized this, Diesel, in a way where we are blaming others for violence. And the simple truth of the matter is, regardless of where you find yourself, violence has never been the answer. I think Martin Luther King Jr. did such a great job of shedding light on that. And I thought allowed us to understand that we cannot ever, what do you say, resort to violence, right? That's unfortunately where we've gotten to. And I think the only place or the only way, Diesel, to get back to a good place is to have conversations, allow people to hear you out, and then you hear their side as well, even if you disagree, because and Charlie Kirk said it. I don't want to quote him because I'll mess the quote up. There's gotta be a place for free speech. And if not, that's when what happened yesterday happens, and we just don't have any place for that.
Yeah, and you know, sadly, I know I've seen it. I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure everybody listening has seen it. There are some people out there who use tragic situations like this as a vehicle and as an excuse to launch into their own terrible thoughts that they put out there on social media, using this as a justification. Oh, now I finally get to say the thing that I want to say. And that's just a sad thing. That's a sad reality, and we've seen a lot of people do it.
Keith and TR real quick says, the worst part about everything is we talk about this type of stuff and we say we need to get back to the way we all came together afterwards. But the problem is when something does happen, we immediately look to blame the other side instead of coming together. And Keith and TR, I think that's well said. I said this in the first segment. I think you're right. Ultimately, here's the problem. What happened 24 years ago was foreign, right? Mm-hmm. We all came together. What happened yesterday and what happens every time there's a school shooting and every time there's an act of violence, that's not foreign. That's domestic. And it's so difficult for this country with as many people and as opinionated as we are, Diesel, to come together when it's domestic, when it's Americans on Americans, right?
This is something that's in people's hearts. This is not an organized force of people wearing all the same color shirts and pants.
It's a heart problem. Find. Again, I'm going to speak for me. In my opinion, it's a heart problem. It's an evil problem that's in people's hearts for whatever reason. I wish we could all, snap our fingers and there would be a magic solution to make that go away forever and ever, and there'd be peace on earth, right? But the reality is there's not. And we've seen violence for many, many years. We saw violence. You go back and look at political violence in the 60s. There was a ton of political violence in the 60s, and in my opinion, much worse than it is now. But you just can't allow your political differences or any differences to allow you to become so frustrated to a point where you even have to consider carrying out some sort of heinous act like it was yesterday and all these other acts that we talked about, because Andrew's right. It's not just about yesterday. It's about violence in general. Violence should not be categorized by left and right. Violence is a heart problem, and everybody has their own different ways of coping, whether it's faith or whatever you might do. And look, I'm with you on that. I think that you have to have some way to cope, some way to have faith. And I'll end by saying, Diesel, I'm going to do the same thing I did at 3:00. And the last thing I'll say is, we have an opportunity right now to be upset and to be mad and to be frustrated and think back at, 24 years ago and allow that to bring us down. But we also have an opportunity to not do that. We have an opportunity to choose positivity and think, you know what, how can good come from this? Because what's happened over the past few months has been horrific. And from the school shootings to the poor lady on the train, to yesterday, to the truck driving down the French Quarter, there's no place for any of it. Yeah. And I'm going to today, on this 11th of September, I'm going to choose to believe that there are still good people in this country, and that the few, the minority, the small percentage of people out there that are committing these heinous acts are just that, the minority. And I hope that somehow, some way, we can drive out that hate of this country.
Yeah, and one of the last things I want to say on this, I want to challenge anybody who has found themselves going down various rabbit holes, whether it be podcasters, content creators, even politicians that you follow. If you follow somebody, if you've been paying attention to somebody who uses this as an opportunity to launch into more hateful conversation, reject those people entirely. Move on. Break away from somebody who gets you maybe ramped up into a similar place. So, you don't have to follow somebody who preaches the wrong things. Okay. You don't have to, if you're a politician, somebody that you've thought has good ideas is using this as a platform to preach hate, reject them, move on from them, go somewhere else with your thought process, follow some. You know, Cole, having the tough conversations means having the necessary conversations, and a great one in that last segment.
No
and
doubt.
It's okay to let that thing go long because, you know, a lot of things that needed to be said were said here on these airwaves. Glad to have Utolos along. 844-326-3663 is how you can get your upset picks in. Keep them coming. We've had a bunch over the last 20 minutes or so. Who's your daddy? Minor 49er, Joey Bruton. Let's see, Tyler from the Berg, Joe D, Scotty from BMW, Rick and Greer, Tolo, Panther Boy, Bonefish Girl. Appreciate all of your texts. They keep on rolling in. We're copying them and throwing them in a Google Doc, and we'll get you your points if you get an upset this weekend, Cole. But let's hear from some of the biggest figures in the sports world and do a little segment we call an audio blitz. We're not the only ones who call it that, but we're just joining along in the trend. Here's the new Bears head coach, Ben Johnson, saying that Dan Campbell used to have an interesting way of referring to him when they first started working together.
We have fond memories of back when I was just a young snot-nosed computer punk, as he likes to call it, in Miami. And
dear God,
what?
Snot-nosed computer
muffin?
punk.
What was it, Elf?
Cotton-headed nitty
yeah,
muggins.
Yeah.
Jeez.
One more time. What did you say again? Play that. I like that.
Here we go.
we have fond memories of back when I was just a young snot-nosed computer punk, as he likes to call it, in Miami. And
that's good. Snot-nosed computer punk.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Dan Camp. Wow, I like that.
Just a nerd who has probably asthma and just sits behind his computer all day, letting the computer decide what we should do on third
analytics.
Down. Yeah.
I like
and
it.
now you're a smart guy for using analytics. See,
that's right.
Nerds shall inherit the earth. Cole, here's audio from Jags head coach Liam Cohen on the opportunity that trading Tank Bigsby gives to that running back room.
Without having to say much to them, they understand based on the move. So, even when Toot did get in and get a couple carries, he didn't have a ton, and I think he had a 7-8 yard run or whatever it was, where there wasn't much going on at the line of scrimmage. He made a great cut, got vertical. And another one, he gets hit at the end, kind of towards, it wasn't quite 4 minutes, but we were running at that point. Hit by the line of scrimmage, gets positive yards, it gets back to the line of scrimmage, and then Quint on a critical third down comes in, gets a 5 or 6 yard run and has a good blitz pickup. So it's opportunity for those guys for sure to step up and give us quality snaps.
I like that. You lose a star player like that, you trade a star player away. We're going to give everybody the opportunity to move up in this pecking order. We're not immediately going to replace you with somebody we bring in.
I find myself in a really interesting spot with Liam Cohen, because when he was hired, I really thought when he was hired that the Jaguars made the dumbest, worst decision in the history of man hiring this guy.
A snot-nosed computer punk?
Correct. And you know what? I'm still leaning more towards that, because I'm not going to overreact to use with a one win over the Carolina Panthers. But at the same time, maybe I was a little too critical of this guy. Maybe just maybe Liam Cohen can get this ship turned around. I thought Doug Peterson could with Trevor Lawrence. That didn't work out. Obviously, we know how the Urban experiment went, but maybe the third time's the charm for old Trevor Lawrence when it comes to head coaches that he's had. So we'll see.
So game one didn't go very well for the Miami Dolphins and for Tua.
No.
And as a matter of fact, Tua says that he wasn't paying attention at all to any of the hate being thrown his way in social media because he's too busy doing something else. Here we go. Let's play this audio. Let's try again.
I think it's hard for me because I don't see any of what you guys are talking about. I don't have any social media. I go home, I'm with my kids, with my family. Kids want to watch Disney Channel or Disney Plus. Gonna put whatever's on for them. And I'll play games with my wife while I'm there. So I wouldn't say I get to hear a lot of that or see a lot of that. But it doesn't matter anyways.
So that.
Whoa. I got it. Yeah.
He doesn't pay attention to the hate. He doesn't have social media. And he's a happy individual because he goes home and spends time with his wife and his kids. Is that not a metaphor, Cole, for what we've all just been talking about for the last 30 minutes?
I wasn't going to go that way.
Okay.
I was going to spin it and say, well, maybe instead of watching Blue's Clues and Disney Plus, he needs to watch some freaking film because he sucks.
Stop spreading hate, Cole.
Well, I'm just telling you, I will never, on my Prize Picks free money that I get, bet on the stupid Miami Dolphins again, and the Tua's over, more or less. Are you kidding me? That guy needs to turn off Disney Plus and turn on Huddle. That's where you watch film. I don't know if the NFL uses Huddle, but they should. This guy, he seems content. Maybe football's not real important to him. Maybe it's like a 9 to 5. You clock in, you run the forklift, and you go home, whatever. But he needs to watch a little film on himself.
Does he put together an AP ballot for a paper in Southern California?
Good.
Cole, some Saints fans are questioning whether or not Saints wide receiver Chris Olave threw Spencer Rattler under the bus with this quote. I'll let you hear it and tell you what they're trying to say that he was trying to say.
Yeah, every time they see me take a big hit or like something like that, I feel like they take me to the tent automatically. I feel like it's gonna be a lot more than usual this year, but yeah, I try to tell them I'm good, but they just try to check on me, make sure I'm straight.
I feel like I might get taken to the tent more often this year. Is he trying to say that Spencer Rattler puts his wide receivers out there on an island to take big hits?
Trying to think of something else, sounds like.
Yeah.
Let me think of what else.
I mean, it's parsing words a little bit to go there. But
I don't know, man.
It's not a stretch.
Why else? No, all kidding aside, I'm sitting here having the conversation in my head of why else would he be saying that? Trying to, narrow it down. No, I'm drawing a blank here. It's not a good look. Hopefully he meant something else or just didn't mean what he said.
Didn't quite come out the way that he wanted it to.
Yeah, maybe. But it did. It did, Chris, and that's not a good look.
2 more pieces for you. Here's audio of Titans rookie quarterback Cam Ward saying that he's not getting mad at his wide receivers for dropping balls this year.
I mean, we communicate about drops, about incomplete balls, everything. I'm not going to never get on them guys for dropping the ball. I'm going to throw a pick at some point in the season, so bad plays are going to happen. The biggest thing is that we got to get back to the hole. We got to always have a next play mentality. So, I'm not really too worried about that. The boys going to catch the ball. I don't leave none of that crazy stuff. I know what type of receivers I got. They know who they are in this locker room, so, we're going to turn things around.
Very mature.
Diesel, he needs to be playing football with CD Lamb. They'd get along great. CD drops balls. Cam Ward says, you can drop balls. I don't care if you drop balls. Drop balls. I'm going to throw interceptions. They'd make a really good pair. They'd suck. Cam would throw all the interceptions. CD would drop all the balls. They'd never win a game, but as long as everybody's happy, that's all that matters.
Well, people forget that CD stands for constantly drops.
Yeah, it's true.
Last one here for you, Cole. I'm not sure that Adam Silver said what he meant to say the right way here either. He says fans who can't afford the really expensive NBA streaming services
I've heard this.
can just consume another way.
What is he thinking?
There's a huge amount of our content that people can essentially consume for free. I mean, this is very much a highlights-based sport. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you name it, any service, the New York Times for that matter, to the extent that your content is not behind a paid firewall. There's an enormous amount of content out there. YouTube, by another example, that is advertising based that consumers can consume.
Oh my God. I heard that yesterday, I think. And basically what he just said was that the NBA has become a highlight sport, right? Mm-hmm. That's what they've become. The NBA has become a highlight sport that you don't need to watch the full games. That really wasn't setting himself in the league up in the best light.
NBA League Pass offers a standard streaming package for $110 a month or monthly $17. The premium tier costs $160. Ooh. And he's telling you, hey, cheapskates, if you're not going to drop $110 on our streaming service, just watch it on Twitter later. Watch the highlights.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Diesel, because I've got to tell you something, and I've got to tell the Tolo something as well that I forgot to tell you. This is unbelievable. Maybe this is not going to come as a surprise to you, but let me tell you what YouTube TV/NFL did to me. You ready? So last year, I purchased NFL ticket, which came with the Red Zone. I don't remember how much I paid, but it was several $100s, I think.
You can pay up to $480 for NFL Sunday ticket.
Okay, so on YouTube TV, I bought last year Sunday ticket, and I bought Red Zone. So what happens? I use it last year. The year rolls by, and this Sunday rolls around. Well, I'm watching the game, or I'm watching some games Sunday with some friends, and we're watching Red Zone. And they made the comment. I said, "Oh, you have Red Zone." And I paused. I said, I guess oh no. They rolled it over into the next year without even asking.
Oh.
Yeah.
You probably agreed to that.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No,
it
I
was
didn't.
probably in that teeny tiny fine print. Well, that's the problem.
I don't read it.
Did you not see the South Park episode where they forget to read the fine print?
No.
And then they sew Stan's mouth to some Asian guy's butt?
No, that sounds weird. No. So I have paid for NFL ticket and Red Zone without knowing. And then I just, at that point, it was like, I didn't even realize it until my buddy said, "Oh, you have Red Zone."
You should be able to opt out of that feature so that a year from now, your subscription just ends. And then you actively have to call them back to re-sign up.
Texter says not true, Cole, is a subscription. What do you mean not true? It happened to me.
That's what a subscription is. It's you agree to pay for it every time it's due to re-up.
Well, I don't like that. I didn't know that. I thought it was a one-time. I don't want to cancel it. I guess I've already paid for it.
Now you're hooked.
Now I'm mad about it.
You're an addict
what
now.
What do we do? And at least send an email and say, "Hey, by the way, you're about to be charged 3 or 4, whatever it is." I mean, goodness gracious. Here we are, stuck and paying hundreds and thousands of dollars to watch sports. Welcome to 2025. about this stat for you, Diesel? Tolo RJ just sent this to me. It came off of ESPN Insights on Twitter, on X. This is unbelievable. Tonight, the Commanders and Packers play each other, right? We talked about it. Jaden Daniels, Diesel, is looking to do what no Washington quarterback has done in nearly 40 years. Win at Lambeau. The last Washington quarterback to win a football game at Lambeau. Do you know what year? The year 1986. Jay Schroeder was the last quarterback in the year 19. Exactly. The year 1986 is the last time a Washington quarterback beat the Packers at Lambeau. That's insane to even think about. That's a long time.
Wow, that's
Nearly
a crazy
40 years.
stat.
I know.
I think they have a really good shot. I mean, I picked them. I picked them to honestly smoke the Packers tonight by 13 on the road. We'll see. Cole, you and I both picked fairly close scores. I went 37-10. You went 28-20.
I
take that back.
Yeah.
We didn't go close scores.
28-20
to each other's.
28-20 is what I'm feeling tonight. Give me I hate doing this because they're in division team, but give me the Commanders tonight.
So, Cole, we've seen how terribly wrong people not protesting and not having conversations civilly can go. Well, here's an opportunity or an example of it going right. Civil disobedience, civil protest done the right way, the NFL way. Next. Cole, I know that you are not a fan of Miami Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel.
Who is?
To me, every time he's behind a microphone, he sounds like he just stepped behind a mic for the first time. Like he's not media polished. He doesn't ever really seem to say the right things. And a lot of times he sounds, frankly, tone deaf. Yeah, I'm thinking back to, when Tua was bashing his skull against the turf a couple of times, and it didn't sound as if he had a whole lot of empathy or understanding for the repercussions of what was going on.
Yeah.
And maybe trying to help remove Tua from those situations and hold him out of games if he needed more time to get himself healthy. So Miami Dolphins fans are now finally starting to let their voices be heard, Cole, by starting a GoFundMe to fire Mike McDaniel banners over Hard Rock Stadium this weekend during the Miami Dolphins home opener.
What did I tell you a couple days ago?
Love it.
When we were to Ingles yesterday, when I said this train's come to an end.
People are getting fed up.
It was cute, right? Like it was fun, but the honeymoon with Mike McDaniels is over. And the reality is, when you take a job in Miami and you sell this dream of being able to win these games, how? Because, we're going to outsmart people. Well, that just hadn't happened. Your quarterback stinks. He gets concussions when he's breathed on. You're really not changing the offensive identity of this. I mean, there's not this amazing amount of creativity. I mean, they're fun to watch, but they're not fun to watch when they score 8 points against the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, like the whole thing with Mike McDaniel is we bought in. We were kind of sold this idea and this dream that he was this young, smart, innovative coach that we've never seen before. Flying banners over the stadium, that's incredible.
Well, I mean, obviously, when Sean McVay had his success, everybody thought, "Oh, we got to go get us a Sean McVay.
Yeah,
we got to go get us somebody who's like 35 or younger,
Shanahan kind of guy,
wears ankle pants where their ankles are exposed, and kind of does things differently. Like walks to a different drum, has a different cut to their jib." Well, obviously didn't work for the Dolphins last week. 33-8, the final score against the Colts. Remember, that was a team that we were questioning who their starting quarterback was going to be leading up to the season. They had been in a quarterback battle because Anthony Richardson sucked.
The reality of it is, you look at what he's done his tenure in Miami. 2022, he was 9-8. 2022, they had a nice season, 11-6. 2024, 8-9. This year, 0-1. Obviously, the season's still young, but overall in Miami, Mike McDaniels is a few games better than 500. He's 28-24. He's 0-2 in his 2 wild card appearances. So, I mean, what do you really got? Mike McDaniels just slightly above average when it comes to quality head football coach. I mean, would you rank this guy in the top 15 in the NFL when it comes to coaches? Probably not. So that's the whole thing, man. Like the shine only lasts so long. Diesel, I'll tell you this. I love getting a full detail of my car, SUV, whatever it is. I love having the inside cleaned and the outside cleaned. Like, it is one of my favorite things in life. Taking it to a place where I take my car and they do the inside and the outside for a really good price. The inside looks immaculate. The outside looks immaculate. But you know what looks amazing? You know what makes the car look really good, Diesel? You know what it is. You're a car guy. Mm-hmm. What pushes the car over the edge when you talk about just, man, listen, the wheels. The wheels had that shine on them. When you clean them, when you clean that car up and you got that wheel shine on there, a clean car is fine. But the clean car with the wheel shine is incredible. I mean, you're looking at it, right? You're taking pictures of it. You're staring at it. You've got big tires on your Jeep. When you put that shine on there, I mean, you feel like you just can't be stopped in life. There's nothing better than having that wheel shine.
Yeah.
The bad part about that wheel shine is when you drive home, it's still there. Next morning you wake up, looks like it's still there. It's not. And then, a day or so goes by, a couple of days go by, and all of a sudden, that beautiful shine that's on those tires is gone.
It's all slung off.
It's gone. And your tires are back to looking like they just got off the assembly line, and there's no shine on them anymore. That's where Mike McDaniels is. There was some shine on that guy. Now there's not. There are none left. That guy's done.
For a guy who says things like this, how do you Dolphins fans feel like there's any shine? Quote, this is after the Colts lost, by the way. I would say the good news and the positive is I don't see how it could be worse. I also believe in the coaches and the players to get it fixed because it's just a shame. You work behind the scenes for months on end and you don't show any of it. It's frustrating, but that can be a good thing. And that's what I saw from the positive, that they didn't give up on each other. Bro, you lost 33-8.
They gave up.
There's no positives.
Yeah.
There's no positives in this. And so when you try to spin it, when you try to sell people on a false bill of goods, you come across looking dumb and out of touch. So far, Cole, the GoFundMe to fly these banners over Hard Rock Stadium has reached $1,780. And you might say that's not a lot of money, but it only costs $900 to fly a banner, which means they can afford two.
Does it only cost $900 to fly a banner?
The $900 was was the goal.
Wow.
On this GoFundMe.
When you told me it was $1,700, I was thinking immediately
I mean, think about it though. If the Wings and Waves stores in Myrtle Beach can afford a plane to drag the banner,
we're not going to do shut.
I'm not
going to go
trying to
hateful on those
them.
wings.
But think about how many hermit crabs did you have to sell to afford a banner?
Shell necklaces. Thank you very much.
Shell necklaces.
I wore those. Everybody did.
You know, pot leaf boogie boards, and
I used to get those. What was it? Those What was the thing you always? Those rocks. The rocks. Yeah,
like bocce ball.
No. Well, that was fun too. That was fun. No, those rocks, you'd put them in, you get a little bag, a little leather or a cloth bag, and you'd fill the bag up with the rocks, and they were really pretty. They had little, they would tell you this rock's from whatever, and I mean, little pretty rocks.
Oh, okay. So you talk about the little tiger eye, like the little polished stones?
Oh, yeah.
Those were
hit
cool.
on my wings. They loved them, my wings now. Now we're talking about my truck. I'm ready to go to Myrtle Beach, baby.
Oh, man. Tolos, do you remember what you used to buy when you were a little kid at Wings and Waves in Myrtle Beach?
Yes. What are they called? The balls?
The bocce balls?
Yeah, the bocce balls. I couldn't think of it.
Yeah, I mean,
I was getting hungry, so I about said hibachi.
You remember you remember that little circle that had a strap on the back? You put your hand in it and it had Velcro on it.
Yeah,
you would throw a tennis ball back and forth to a little flat pad.
Yeah. Did that on the beach.
Those.
Yeah.
The paddleboard things that you had on the beach, those were everywhere.
Yeah, I love those wings.
Everything in those stores was such crap, though, and
it was. But that's what made it fun, man. It was like
you got to get your Big Johnson T-shirts. It
was like a Walmart on heroin. I mean, it was the greatest thing in the world. It really was. You couldn't beat it. Those wings. Wings and Waves.
So that's great. Somebody doing that instead of taking things into their own hands and getting weird and doing something crazy, you just rent a plane to say, hey, fire that. Mike McDaniel.
Texter says from the 860, Miami's offense is like the Wildcat, was initiative for 2 seasons, then defense picked up on it, and it's over. You don't adapt, and then your coach, then you are over too as a coach. I like it. Yeah. I like it from the 860. So when you fly these banners, $900 get you a banner. I wonder an hour, 2 hours? What's the duration on that thing?
It depends on how far the airstrip is away from
the location where you want to go. It's that cheap to buy a banner. I want to buy one.
Do you have $900? You have $900. What do you? They're paying you that much here to
not
afford
here.
A banner?
I'll say this: you can't fly it over Jerry World because it's enclosed, right? Jerry wouldn't see it. I would like to. We could put wire to wire on it.
Yeah,
I mean that'd be awesome. Mac the Knife. How about this one? What is a Mancala?
Mancala stones? Is that how you say it?
What is a Mancala
I'm going to Google that.
He said, and boards from the beach stones and driftwood. Is that what you're talking about from Waves?
Driftwood.
Driftwood's like
think about it. People were putting money down on the board to buy old wood that just came out of the ocean.
That driftwood, is that what it is, right? It's just that old.
Are you talking about so this Mancala board that he's talking about?
Mancala.
I don't really know I don't understand the point of this thing, but it's like looks like a wooden board with a bunch of little kind of indentions.
Mancala Stone.
Drilled into it. And I guess it's a game. I don't understand how to play this game.
Oh, the Mancala Stones is okay. So it's similar to the things I was talking about. Those little, yeah. That's what I was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. Mac the Knife. That's it. The Mancala Stones. I had no idea they were called that.
I didn't either.
If you Google it,
I never bought those, but I did buy Pogs at the Wings and Ways. You're too young for Pogs. You don't know. That's something that, like, as a kid, you ever think about the trends and the things that you were obsessed with as a little kid that didn't make any sense, but they were popular, they were trendy.
I still have those.
And Pogs were just these little paper discs about the size of a 50-cent piece, and they would have something printed on either side of it, and you were supposed to collect them. And then
I never heard
apparently you would get what was called a slammer, and that was a big metal coin, again, roughly the size
of jail.
Roughly the size of a 50-cent piece. And then you would like slam the slammer down on the Pogs. And then I don't know what you were supposed to do with them after that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know Pogs.
No, I wasn't rich. I wasn't a rich kid.
If buying little cardboard circles is a collection for rich kids, get out of here. Cole was over there collecting Mickey Mantle rookie cards.
No. I do like the Mancala Stones though. And what is this? Boards? Oh, okay. That's okay. Beach stones and driftwood. I don't know exactly what he means by beach stone, but driftwood. I mean, yeah. I guess I'm with him on the driftwood.
Oh man, why did they all look the same?
What's that?
The Wings, the Waves. I mean, I'll bet you that like if one of them closed down, the other one would just buy it.
It's great,
including all the merchandise, because all the merchandise was exactly the same. It was all the same old crap. Obviously, flip flops. You go to the beach, you're like, oh crap, I forgot my flip flops. I forgot my sunglasses.
Beach chair.
One
of those little. One of those little. What do they call those things you sit under? A tent.
Yeah,
is that what they're called? A tent. Is that
umbrella?
what you call them? Umbrella.
A beach umbrella?
Yeah. Whatever they're called. I don't know what they're called. A tent, beach umbrella.
Obviously, you have to get your FBI t-shirts, the federal booty inspector.
Yeah, that's true. I love those, man. I love the so when I was young, the thing that was in was having the, I say young, probably like middle school, maybe a little younger, was the highlights in your hair and the necklaces that you talked about.
Puka shell.
The puka shell.
Yeah.
If you had highlights and puka shell necklace,
I didn't have puka shell. It was a little after my time, but it was the shark's tooth necklace.
Oh yeah.
You were a badass.
Oh,
you went
also
to work
could get those from the shark teeth. From
anything with a
wings.
yin yang on it,
Yeah,
it's crazy,
man.
Those stores are fun,
What
and they're all still there.
I'm telling you,
I'm pretty sure that Coastal Carolina has one of those stores on campus.
That was back before the world got crazy. That was just one good time, man. That's good times, man. Good times. Think back to those kind of stores and things like that.
Speaking of good times, Tolos, get involved in the Upset Picks Challenge if you haven't yet. 844 fan. No, you cannot. It's too late. You've already said it out loud. 844 fan phone. If you don't know the game, you're trying to pick a betting underdog to win the game outright. Find one, go to ESPN.com, find the spread, and then text us your name, your game, and the spread. For example, Who's Your Daddy texted in, says, Who's Your Daddy? New Mexico State over Louisiana Tech plus 10.5. That's how you do it.
Okay.
Roger Carper says, I'm taking Georgia Tech plus 4.5 over my Clemson Tigers. Wow, Roger Carper choosing against his own team.
Wow.
I don't know that we've seen any South Carolina fans openly choose Vandy to get the upset. It might have happened. I mean, your team real well and think they might have a chance of losing to Vanderbilt this weekend, but hey, keep them coming. We've got about 45 minutes left in the show. In the next segment, we'll be bringing on a special guest, Cole, a really good football coach from right here in the upstate.
I do want to talk about this real quick. This was some new news. Seems as if LSU's got some concern going into their SEC home opener against Florida. They've had a couple of interesting injury concerns throughout the course of the week from what I've kind of seen and followed on Twitter. But Shea Dixon, who is on the LSU beat for On3 Sports, is now reporting that their starting corner, Braylon Moore, one of their best defensive players on the football field, really one of their best players, is now doubtful. So we talked about that game in the Upset Picks Challenge with LSU and Florida. in terms of like Florida needing it because Billy Napier isn't good. And because LSU, we don't know really. LSU looked good against Clemson, but didn't look great last week. So that could be interesting. That could be something interesting to watch over the next 24 hours if you're thinking about betting on that game. Just the injury concern from the LSU standpoint. If they've got some dudes that are out, maybe Florida's got a shot. We'll see if that spread changes too. I don't know. There was something, for whatever reason, I was looking at that game and I didn't take it. Now I wish I would have. What's the spread on that? Let me look.
The Florida LSU?
Yeah, Florida LSU, 7.5. So LSU is still favored by 7.5. I wish I'd have taken.
No, man.
Yeah, I wish I'd have took it.
The real Death Valley with that environment, they're not losing to Florida. Who just lost to South Florida?
You don't think?
No.
I don't know. Billy Napier might be coaching for his job.
I mean,
now.
do we have to call what's in Baton Rouge the real Death Valley until Clemson and LSU play again?
Pretty much. I don't know. Do I think they'll beat them? No, I don't think they'll beat them. But do I think they've got a shot? I do think they have a shot. Ultimately, LSU's the better team.
I'd be willing to throw a few bucks down on them covering.
Yeah.
But you can't do that in the state of South Carolina because you can't bet on results.
We don't do that. I mean, they're the better team. They should win the game. We'll see, though. We'll see. Clay Hendricks, you mentioned it, the head football coach of the Furman Paladins, joins us next. We're flushing that bad game last week and putting it in the rearview mirror, and we're getting ready for that Camel Pack that Furman's going to be smoking this weekend, taking on Campbell. That's next. Time to talk a little Furman Paladins football on this Thursday evening. Newsflash for you Tolos out there. We talk Furman every Thursday at this time with head football coach Clay Hendricks, who is leading this Furman team into a big game this weekend against Campbell on the road. We'll get into that in just a few minutes. Coach, we appreciate you as always. How are you?
I'm well. Just finished with practice and had a good week. And I kind of look forward to road trips sometimes.
Yeah.
So this is our first one of the year.
Coach, a tough loss this past Saturday for you guys. Overtime, 39-38, a loss to Presbyterian. A very close ball game, neck and neck, all the way throughout. Now that you've had a few days to kind of look back and sleep on it, I know you want to flush it, but what were your biggest takeaways from Saturday's loss?
Well, our biggest takeaways was, for me, is just the fact we had a chance to kind of really, we were total control of the game there. A couple minutes to go in the half, and turned the ball over and gave them a score there right for the half, and just kind of changed the game. And then certainly didn't play very well the second half. Thought played exceptionally well the first half. You get a chance to put somebody away, you got to do that. But again, give them credit for making a bunch of plays, and we didn't make enough there in the second half. And also, through two games, I think I can see we have a chance to be a pretty good team. But we've done some things probably better in two games than we did them all year. 11 games a year ago. So it's a matter of us finding a way to go play full quarters.
Coach, your quarterback, Trey Hedden, had himself a pretty good game, 29-40 with a touchdown. Unfortunately, he did have 2 picks in that game. And, obviously you said it there. It's a big part of why you fell last week. What's his process like? How does he self-analyze watching film after the game, his process for trying to pick apart his mistakes and how to be better next week?
Well, I think he's a true student of the game. I don't know if we have a guy on our team that spends more time watching it. I see him in the office. He just seems to be the guy I see more than anybody else around there. So I think he was 21 or 24 at one time. He, talented guy. I think he moves on. He's really like a lot of guys on our team. A couple of fundamental issues catch up with us when we don't do exactly. I think one of the picks we were way too deep on the drop, and it's kind of hard to play offensive tackle when you don't have a pretty good idea where the quarterback is. And then just continue to make good decisions. He's done that, and he did some really good things. So you got to learn from it and try to move on and have a good week of practice, which he did, and then try to just play that much better this week.
Coach, you've been a part of a lot of football games, but one where there's 5 interceptions between the two quarterbacks. It's got to feel, I guess, in a way frustrating in the fact that you lost the game. You had an opportunity. You had 3 opportunities to get the ball back from their quarterback who had a decent day, but, 5 touchdowns, 3 picks. We talked about your quarterback, but I'm sure that's also a frustrating part of it as well.
Yeah, well, I give their guy credit. I think he threw a pick the first play of the game and the first play of the second half.
Wow.
And came back from that. And, again, it's just when you get opportunities like that, you got to make the most of them. I think we had one there in the third quarter, again, leading, still with a pretty good lead. And we started on their 12-yard line after an interception. And, it was a little bit how our day was and a little bit how our team has been. I think first play we ran an off-tackle power play game like 5 yards. We had a receiver lined up in the backfield who had no bearing on anything, but we get a 5-yard penalty. So now it's 1st and 15. Then we run a little zone boot play. And I don't know if the flat receiver does what he's supposed to, it's probably going to be a touchdown. Well, he didn't even get the call. And so, it's hard to throw it to the flat when there's not anybody to throw it to. Yeah. And then Trey had a chance, just get rid of the ball. And sometimes, just throw it away and let's play another play. And, he takes a kind of needless 5-yard sack. So now it's 2nd and 20. And, and a little bit, that's just a little bit where we were, just the lack of execution. I don't think it was I think our effort was good. But just right now, attention to details, I think sometimes you're going to deal with a little bit with a younger group. But just attention details, and again, relying on fundamentals is just that's what we've got to get completely right to play a full game. And, we've played two pretty good halves of football, in 2 games. But it's hard to win close games, against good teams when you do that.
Coach Clay Hendricks, head football coach of the Furman Paladins, joining us here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Coach, I noticed that in regulation, 3 out of your 4 touchdowns were on the ground. Talk about, just when you get down inside that red zone, inside that 10-yard line, even out to the 15 or 20, what's your mentality? Are you run? I mean, I know you got a really good quarterback, but you're putting the ball on the ground a lot there.
Yeah, well, I think we had some shorter runs. And I think the first one now was maybe a 15-yard run.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think we were going to continue to be balanced. You try to figure out what your strengths are. Right now it's hard to say that our ability to get the ball to our receivers and throw it around is not a strength of ours. We want to be balanced. That doesn't always mean 50-50, but in the red zone, if you can't run it, man, the field shrinks and it really makes it tough. So that's been a real positive for us. Again, some we struggled with a year ago. So I think we'll continue to try to mix it up down there. So we certainly had our opportunities, but it is nice when you can pound it in there and run the ball in there, in those situations. And I think we'll continue to try to maybe take what they give us.
Coach, how big of a start do you continue to, or will you continue to need, rather, in these next few games? And then as you get into the meat of the season, fast starts are something that coaches talk about a lot. You guys were able to do that Saturday. You capitalize off the turnover. You get the football just 3.5 minutes later, you're in the end zone. Is that something you feel like this team's going to have to continue on? And just talking about getting off to these fast starts.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. I mean, we've gotten a pick. Both. It's funny. It's kind of interesting. We played 2 teams. I'm not sure I can ever remember this. We played 2 teams that both won the toss and took the ball, and we got a pick in both series. So
wow.
I don't remember that happening very often. But no, that'd be great. I think we got to do. We haven't been very good in the third quarter. So obviously we need to do a better job with some adjustments. Actually, we played pretty well in the third quarter. We kind of shot ourselves in the foot when we got the ball down there. But we like to start fast. I mean, I think everybody would. I just think again, it's doing the things we have to give us a chance to go play, a complete full football game.
Coach, you look at your opponent that you're facing this weekend on the road at Campbell. Put up a pretty good fight against Rhode Island there in week 1. Obviously, they gave up 2 touchdowns there in the fourth quarter against Rhode Island. And then against East Carolina, lopsided victory for the Pirates. What can you learn from a game like the East Carolina-Campbell game to try to replicate what it is East Carolina did? Because obviously with a game that lopsided, basically nothing went right for Campbell.
Yeah, they got in the hole pretty quickly. I think it's more about they played 2 games, we played 2 games, so now you got film on people. They're a program that they're kind of living with the transfer portal right now. I think they've got mid-50s new players this year. So that first game I sure would have been a challenge without having any kind of video on them. But you got 2 games, you've watched them. I don't put too much stock into the East Carolina game. The problem is in those games, the gap has continued to grow a little bit with all the things that are going on in college football. And East Carolina's a really talented group. I mean, they took NC State to the wire, and here's a team, they may be 3-0 after tonight. So they took them to the wire. And, I think so many of those games are about matchups. You got to kind of have something. I think college football is that way. You got to kind of have something going your way. And East Carolina's got a lot of weapons. Play the hurry up style, which, if you're having trouble matching up against that, it can get away from you pretty quick. So you'd love to have some of those players they have, that speed, but I like our players. Again, I think it's just being able to go out and execute and do what we do. We're a little different schematically than East Carolina. It's funny, Campbell and East Carolina are a little more alike offensively than we are like them. So, you watch how they line up, kind of what you expect to get coverage-wise, certainly what you expect to get out of their offense. I think you look at more of those kinds of things.
Coach, how do you evaluate your run production, through 2 games? You're rotating guys like Gavin Hall and Jaquan Smith a pretty good bit. Other guys are getting the ball as well, but those two being your steady 1-2 punch. How do you evaluate what they've done through 2 games?
Yeah, I think we're making progress there. At the quarterback position, we've taken some negative plays there that we need to be able to eliminate. Sometimes maybe it's not his fault, but sometimes it's we need to get rid of the football. I think we'll continue to look at how people try to defend us, and maybe it's what the best way to attack somebody. There may be times we're letting people gang up on us a little bit too much, and the world we're in now, if you put a lot of guys in there, they're putting a lot of guys in there. It's usually an unblocked hat, and our quarterback's not a. I think he's a good athlete, but he's not a true dual threat guy that you see from a lot of people right now. So I think that's got to come into play, and when you do what you do in the run game. So I think we're continuing to kind of figure out exactly what we feel like is the best way to attack people. And use, again, I think we've got a talented group of receivers that are playing well. We got a guy that can throw it. So, continuing to spread people out a little bit. And yet, I think we've shown the ability when we have to make hard yards, we can. But I still think it's kind of a process that we're going through right now.
Coach, if I may, I want to kind of take a bit of a step back, maybe a 10,000-foot view here. You as a head coach, your job is to be a leader of men. You help not only prepare them on a week-by-week basis to go out on the field, but also to go out into the world as men once their time as a Furman Paladin is over. How do you address situations like what we saw yesterday with the tragic shooting of that media member? And do you deal with it right then and there on the spot? Do you wait until a certain time of the season to try to talk to your guys about that? How do you tackle that?
No, I kind of like to deal with it as things come about. It's funny you asked me. I mean, probably it's 6:35 right now. Probably at about 5:50, I was addressing it with our team. That was kind of what I finished with today. And we talked about 9/11. I don't have many guys that were born before 2000.
Thanks, Coach. Now I feel old.
I think we got 3 guys. I think I had 3 guys throw hands up. And I just remember sitting in Timmons Arena, which is where we were in those days. And I'll never forget Bobby Johnson. We were going to Liberty that weekend to play. And, y'all have those moments that you remember where you were when certain things happen. And I remember Bobby Johnson walking into our offensive staff meeting and saying a plane had flown into one of the towers. I just had in my mind, I'm thinking some small little, I don't know, 8-seater, 6-seater had done it. And obviously, obviously it was what it was. I remember practicing that week, the entire week, because they kept saying we're going to play. And then finally we came off the field on Thursday. And again, we're supposed to go to Liberty to play. And they said, we're not going to play. And then, so I don't know, just it's an evil world out there right now, which is when you try to talk to you guys about that and trying to make a difference. I'd actually just commended about 5 guys we had to go to elementary school this morning. I got a couple of calls about how great they did, which didn't surprise me at all. And then, I addressed the Charlie Kirk situation, and man, just I can't say I was a follower of his, but I knew enough about him when I saw him. I liked listening to him. And I know not everybody agrees with his politics, but man, what a great dad, husband, if you know anything about him, and he just was so respectful of other people, even when they disagreed with him. And that's just the world right now. And we lack a ton of that. And, we're hoping we're raising young men. They're going to be great fathers and husbands and community leaders. And a part of that is being able to disagree with somebody without it turning into tragedy. And so I think, I think that's my main job. Now we need to win games too. And we want to do both, but I don't know. For me, that's always been important. I've been around, I've been fortunate to play for guys and work for guys who felt similarly. And, as long as I'm coach, that's what we'll kind of continue to try to do.
Coach, that's real well said. Before we let you go, keys to victory for the Furman Paladins to get the win on the road at Campbell Saturday in your mind?
We just got to keep getting better. I like our team, and I think we're as good as anybody there. We got an open date next week. Then we start conference play, and we're a little banged up. We'd like to get healthy, but at the end of the day, it's can we go be better in lots of areas? Can we be a better fundamental football team? can we be better in the detail aspect of it? Because our guys are playing hard. We've shown the ability to be explosive offensively and shown the ability to play really good defense. And so, we just got to keep improving and go play a full court game.
Coach, good luck to you this weekend. Go get them.
Hey, thank you. It's great being with you.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Always good stuff, man.
Yep.
Always good stuff with Coach Clay Hendricks. It's a big one, man. You don't want to go on the road and drop another one. I mean, 2 in a row would be obviously tough, but you feel like this game Saturday at Campbell Diesel's I don't want to say like must win because that's thrown around way too much, but you feel like this is a game if you're Furman, you should win this game. And sometimes those are a little tricky because if you have that game where you feel like, oh, we should win it, sometimes it can be a trap game. But the fact that you're coming off a loss, a 1-point loss in overtime, the Presbyterian, who, by the way, is 2-0, hadn't lost yet this season. All of a sudden, they're doing good things. No scholarships. I don't know how that's possible. But what's interesting is you're in a really important spot for Furman because after Campbell, rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
It's Samford, ETSU, welcome to SoCon play with Western Carolina, Wofford, Citadel. List goes on and on. So it's tough, man.
Western Carolina, by the way, the lone preseason ranked team in the FCS top 25 out of the Southern Conference.
That's right.
We appreciate Coach's time there. Cole, when we come back, let's take a little look. I was just wondering, about coaches that move from college to pros, move from pros back down to college. When you hear that a coach is making one of those types of changes, which one makes you wince just a little bit more? Like, that's not going to work out very well. We'll go into the statistics and the history of that next. Well, Cole, there's the biggie. Big T texts in with his upset pick. He's taking Wisconsin plus 21.5.
Let's go.
On the road at the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Big T, I like it.
Big T getting bold. I don't know how much confidence you have in that pick, Big T, or if you're just swinging for the fences, but we appreciate you getting in your upset pick. Lyman Robb gets his in. He's picking Tennessee plus 4.5 against Georgia. We got you, Jarrett Tripp, Pushkin, RJ, JWE as well, Cole. When you hear that a big named coach is going to try something new, going to move from one ranks to the other, from college to pro or pro to college, which one makes you kind of wince a little bit more? Like, I don't know if that's going to work out. Because let's be real. We've got a fair amount of data of moves being made in either direction, and it doesn't necessarily work out very well for either side.
You know, I think it scares me more to go to pro from pro to college.
Okay.
I think the adjustment there is just so dramatic because you're dealing with 25 to 35-year-old men who you have no idea what it's like to go from 35 to 16, 17-year-old recruits and then 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old players. Look, you're dealing with guys at the college level who are getting older now because you have 19 COVID years. Diego Pavia just turned 54 last week. We get it. However, I think the adjustment going from the NFL to college is a little tougher in my mind.
Well, think about it this way. Here's one that'll change your mind on things. How about old Jim Harbaugh? Yeah. Jim Harbaugh went from college, Stanford, where he was good but not amazing, 29-21 in his time at Stanford from 07 to 10. And then he just went off to the San Francisco 49ers, where he was really good. 56-25.
Yeah.
So there's a prime example there that kind of refutes that idea that college coaches don't necessarily go off and have a ton of success in the
happens.
NFL. Now,
it happens. Yeah.
There are some examples of coaches that kind of bounce back and forth and have had moderate success at both. Pete Carroll, he was in the NFL before he was at USC. He was really good at USC, went off to Seattle, obviously won a Super Bowl at Seattle. Then you got guys like Bill O'Brien, Cole, who kind of bounce back and forth and never really find a ton of success anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that big name. He was at Penn State, had to take over a really tough situation there at Penn State, went off to the Texans, got into the playoffs a couple times. Now he's back at Boston College, where I think he's 500 or maybe just like one game over 500 in a season and a half.
You know, I remember a few weeks ago, we had this conversation with Smitty, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think actually the first week we had him on this season, we had this conversation. I think I asked him something related to this. And what's interesting is, to your point, there have been examples of where it's worked. We've seen coaches have success at both levels. It's just such a different game now in 2025. I'm not saying it can't work, but like it's such a different game. You say, well, Cole, it's more like the NFL because players are getting paid. Yeah, they're getting paid, but it is different. It's different. They're not getting paid on employee contracts.
Half or more of your roster is going to change over next year.
So again, I think that the good coaches out there, like the Harbaugh, if your last name's Harbaugh, you can coach football.
Yeah.
The good coaches out there will find a way. However, look at Urban Meyer going from where he was to the pro ranks. Boy, did that end in a disaster, right?
Yeah.
That nobody really saw. I mean, there were skeptics, but we all looked at Urban Meyer as a pioneer when it comes to college football.
I just think Urban Meyer going to Jacksonville was kind of like Tebow going to Jacksonville. It was a way to sell some tickets, make you feel good as a Florida Gator fan, but that's about it. And then, of course, there's always the Matt Rules. Great at Baylor.
I like Matt Rule.
With the Panthers. I like what he's doing at Nebraska. Yeah. Now, it hasn't turned into a really plus 500 record yet, but he's turning them around.
Tolos, a Friday edition of Wire to Wire. Tomorrow, I'll be live at Greer High School. These will be rocking and rolling right here in the Ingles Market Studios, and you'll be getting those upset